Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Sporting Chance podcast. While you're here, check out the sportingchancepod.com for all the flyest merch and a complete catalog of the episodes. And check out Clover Creek Canine on Facebook for performance canines bred by friend of the show, Sean O'Neill. Do yourself a favor, get a lurcher, get a special, get a truck terrier, whatever it is, you can't go wrong. And while we're at it, this podcast is brought to you by A Journey with Red Tails. Order the book by author Bob Glass at ajourneywithredtails.com. And for all of your tightest falconry equipment, check out midnightfalconry.com. And let's not forget mountainstatefalconrysupply.com for your premier East Coast falconry supply store. Let's not forget your boy, my boy, everyone's boy, Seth Roy, northmountaingoshawks.com for your parent-reared goshawk hunting partner for the 2025 hunting season. All right, welcome everyone to the Sporting Chance podcast. I'm Aaron Kincaid.
And I'm Casey Everett.
Today we are joined by Jackie Berry. Thanks for coming, Jackie.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm stoked.
So are we. Super glad you're here. So we were just talking about some interesting stuff. One of those was I was under the impression that you had a PhD.
Well,
so was I.
I was going that route. I got a master's degree when I lived in New York City. I went to Columbia. I didn't really adapt well to the city. I moved to Jersey for my second year, which was like more helpful. And I did not to get too technical, so I'll kind of put it in layman's terms, but I did like a genetic analysis on red tails where I was trying to find out what gene caused dark or light plumage polymorphism is what they call it in red-tailed hawks, specifically looking at Harlan's and trying to figure out what caused that. Because it's not like it is with other birds, like with gyrfalcons or even just like common buzzards. Like we couldn't figure it out. And so that was kind of my goal there. And then I moved to Alabama after that because it was a great lab and that's what they studied was bird coloration. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to look more into this coloration stuff because it's with red tails, it's crazy. Like It's so crazy. And I just wanted to figure it out because no one has figured it out. And so I was working on that and it had been like 3.5, 4 years. I got a lot of samples from wild birds out west. I got money to go to Utah, Colorado, California, and I don't remember the other place. There were like Idaho, I think. And took some samples. And then we got samples for some falconers who had a lot of, who were breeding these dark morph birds, doing really well with them, by the way.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of them out west. So we drove out west twice.
You talked to like Mike Clark and stuff?
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. I sampled some of his birds. They were real nice birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And took some blood samples from them, took some photographs, everything. And it was like way more complicated than really anyone in the scientific community thought that it would be. That it might be like a gene expression thing. It would have cost like over $10,000, like more than that. And so
is that, wait, 10,000? Is that what Mike's charging for one of those birds? Or
no, I would have just bought them. No, but yeah, no, I got a lot of samples from those birds, and we were running that, and I was working that for a while. And I got this job opportunity and I was like, why don't I just kind of make some money right now? Because, when you're a grad student, which I was for 4, 5, 6 years after coming out of undergrad for 4 years, maybe I should have just been a surgeon. I don't know. But,
right.
Yeah, it's, you're making pennies on the dollar, right? Like it's hard to survive. I got a job opportunity. I work with this great organization now. It's fantastic. It's with this company called Conservation Science Global. And I'm the director of this program called Hunters for Eagle Conservation. where what we do is in a handful of states right now, and we expand every year, we offer either rebates or vouchers for folks to switch to non-lead ammo.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. So they just like send us a picture of the ammo they bought and their receipt. They sign up and we send them a rebate for pretty much the full amount.
That's incredible.
So people are getting free ammo.
Literally, yeah. Because I mean, we know like copper's more expensive. It is, and it can be cost prohibitive to some folks, but it's high performance. It works well. So that's
there's mixed reviews on the copper rounds, but I'm not an expert. But that's what I hear around the water cooler is that it doesn't expand correctly, and people don't like it.
You're right. It doesn't fragment like lead, and there's good and bad to that, right?
Right. Yeah.
You're shooting a really big game animal, and if you're shooting with copper, it's going to mushroom. It's not going to fragment. It's going to it's going to penetrate really well into like that dense muscle and tissue of a big game animal. It's going to create a big fucking hole, and it's going to leave a nice blood trail, right? But yeah, I mean, some people love it, and they send me testimonials and pictures all the time. Like, I will literally never go back. And then some people are like, no, my family's been hunting lead like my whole life, and I don't want to change it. And I'm not leaving gut piles. I'm like, okay, great. Well, in a lot of places, like you have to field dress it right there, and you have to like leave the guts right there. And that's like big issue for eagles that in the winter, that's their primary food source. Like Goldens, even bald eagles, like that's what they're eating is carrion.
You can't even bury it either because a coyote or something will just dig it up.
Some will dig it up. Exactly. Yeah. So, but we've had, I think it was over the past year, we've had like 1,000 people just in 2 states sign up. And we're just like, we'll just like give you free ammo. Try it out. See if you like it. Why not? Right.
Well, it's, as you know, Jackie, when you shoot a deer with lead, it like tiny little lead fragments just like go all through its body.
Everywhere. I mean, you look at these x-rays, like, because we've done x-rays of these deer after, and it's like literally everywhere, which like a lot of people are like, oh, well, I've been eating lead in my deer for forever, and who cares? It's not like it's lead paint chips from, well, maybe it is.
Right.
But I mean, obviously when you're shooting copper, it's clean, and people have had really good success with it. Michael's been shooting copper for a long time, and like he's from like bumfuck Alabama. Like his ancestors have been shooting that.
Now, are you doing the same thing for like the duck hunters and stuff, like with tungsten rounds and stainless steel shot?
Steel, yeah. Yeah, and that's a requirement in a lot of places now.
It really should be. That's the one where like you're shooting lead over water sources. Like let's stop doing that.
Exactly. It's not great. And like there's no political agenda here. Like we have we don't want to ban lead or anything. I'm just saying, like, here's an incentive. Try it, see if you like it. And it helps eagles. I mean, hunters are conservationists. They've always been conservationists. So here's another tool in the bag. So that's what I've been doing basically since then. And it's been super fulfilling. And I absolutely love it. And I get time to go hawking too. I mean, I work here. I work from home.
That's awesome. So like your day consists of like calling like different like elk, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Ducks Unlimited, and like going that route? Or are you just like putting stuff out online to like get people to like, how are you marketing this to people?
Yeah. So we're familiar with a lot of these groups. We've done programs, and we have a big program in Alaska. Montana, we've had programs in Wyoming. New York State was a new one, and you don't have to be a resident. I mean, you want to go out and hunt up in New York State, you can. Now we're a contractor with Fish and Wildlife. They've started a lead-free program where they have like 5 or 6 national wildlife refuges across, like Indiana, North Carolina, lots of places where you can go and get a rebate for just purchasing it. Just send me your receipt and I send you a Visa debit card type thing.
That's cool. Except it's not a scam.
It's not a scam. I promise. We're literally sending you money. I promise. Yeah. And we want to preserve like this great American hunting heritage while, protecting things like eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a study My colleagues have done a couple studies on this and found that 50% of eagles had been exposed to lead poisoning with high lead levels. I mean, I'm sure you guys know how many eagles come into fucking raptor centers, and they're most of the time when an eagle's gonna come into a raptor center and it's all screwed up, like you already know what it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so there's a reason for that. So that's kind of where that comes from.
Do you think that lead is coming from eating gut piles, or, as you know from being around the Charlotte area, like Lake Norman and Mountain Island lakes, they tell you not to eat anything there because of lead?
Yeah, don't eat anything from Lake Norman. No, it's 100% from gut piles. Yeah, 100%.
I wondered if it was the fish they were eating because, the bass and catfish have high lead content now.
This is mainly, these pilot studies came out from the West. Our pilot study was in Wyoming, and this was like, wow, this was like a big issue. But we've noticed the same thing on the Atlantic side.
Interesting.
But
Very interesting.
And we call that compensatory mitigation. So, I mean, taxpayers aren't paying for these programs. So just as it's as illegal for anyone to shoot an eagle, it's just as illegal for a wind farm, a turbine to kill an eagle. It's just as illegal. And they have to pay a price too. They have to mitigate how many eagles they're killing. So that's essentially how we're funded. If we have $60,000 to give to New York and pay all these people to switch, that's where that money's coming from, because they are obligated to offset how many eagles they're killing.
So you're getting the money from from wind farms or stuff like that.
Power utilities, with transformers, all that stuff. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Aaron. Sorry.
I was just curious.
I'll just keep going.
Is it just like an estimate thing? Do they estimate how many birds of prey they kill, or do they actually account for how many they kill?
We can model it, but there's also people who go out who are consultants, and they're hired by the company, and they go out and walk around and they count the number of carcasses they see. But there have been some issues with that, because being hired by that company, you're kind of incentivized to maybe not report as many as you see. Yeah. That's been going on for a long time. But even still, the ones they see, it's a lot. Yeah. And so, you're not allowed to do that. It doesn't matter if you're a big corporation. It doesn't matter if you're me. You're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
So that's what I do for work now.
It sounds super. Yeah, it sounds very satisfying and rewarding.
It is, because it's something I'm interested in. People I work with are awesome. They're raptor researchers. They're big game hunters, and yeah, I work remotely. I still get to go hawking every day. I get a window, and not many people get that window. So
yeah.
Well, I'm sure we want to talk to you about some of the red-tailed hawk color variations and subspecies. Sure. And we also want to talk to you about falconry, of course. So what, I don't know, before we get into your falconry, let's dig into red-tailed colors.
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah.
Okay. So Harlan's red tails, Kreider's red tails, what? Fuertes red tails.
Oh, the Fuertesi. Yeah.
Yeah. What else are there? So in North America, we've got, I guess they're restricted in North America, right?
Well, there's a lot of populations in what we call subs. This is ironic. My shirt, I have
that's
a
cool.
lot of different subspecies on there. Yeah, I was really into this. But we have, I think it's 14 recognized subspecies, meaning populations of red tails that have different morphometrics that display different characteristics. And we don't.
Now, is there anything other than color that distinguishes these?
Great question.
I would say behavior, for sure. God, especially when you look at birds like Harlan's, where I've had some colleagues say, this can't be a red tail. I mean, look at the feathering that goes down. They're almost booted, right? It comes down to the bottom of the foot. Look how sketchy they are. Their flushing difference is distance is far reduced. If you go out to trap a Harlan's in migration in Kansas, which Michael and I did, and we trapped a bunch. You've got to throw that trap 4 poles down. Maybe you'll get lucky at 4 poles down. It's that bad. It's very difficult.
I've been to Kansas with a trapping license, and I was focused on hunting, but anytime I saw an unusual redtail and I'd try and throw the trap, it's like the moment you even think about slowing down.
Yeah, it's like they read your mind.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's totally different from here.
No, but there are some really cool color morphs. I think when you look at the Western Calera subspecies, like Michael and Connor,
are those a subspecies or are they just a dark morph?
Well, so they're a Western subspecies, and then they're a dark morph of that subspecies, exactly. So, like the Eastern Borealis doesn't have a different morph; they are what they are. But when you go out west, it has its own subspecies. The Harlans that breeds up north in the Canadian Yukon and Alaska, they're polymorphic. They have several morphs: light, intermediate, dark. And we've trapped all of them. But not, and then also the northern Abieticola that also comes in a dark morph, and that's pretty much it. So we have a lot of subspecies, but not all of them are polymorphic, meaning they occur in different phases or colorations.
Interesting. And yeah, I don't know why I was under
why that is, and I tried to pinpoint like the genetic component for a very long time, and it's more complicated than we thought. Like there have been studies on deer falcons. You get a white one, silver one, jet black one. Like that's super cool. That's literally like one mutation that just causes that switch. It's so simple. Not at all the case with red tails, even though they can be that stark of a difference almost. So it's very difficult.
It seems like with what Michael Clark's doing out there that he's breeding that dark to dark and producing dark chicks, right?
Yeah. So you'd think that it's a dominant trait, but it's not. I'm not trying to go too heavy into genetics here, but we know fairly confidently it's not a Mendelian trait. So it's not going to follow. You remember the Punnett square in like 8th grade or whatever you might have learned in like genetics? Like it doesn't really follow that. It's more complicated than that. But yeah, and even those birds have different temperatures of color. They're not necessarily jet black. Like the Harlans that we trapped, like those are jet black. Those are of a cool color.
So when you say jet black, would you consider what Michael has jet black? Because those are to me, those are chocolatey.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But God knows those birds are way better falconry birds than a Harlan's.
Yeah, Harlan's suck. I flew one once.
Ask me how I know.
Yeah. I know how you know because I know what you know because they suck.
So those are Western red tails, not Harlan's.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Totally different population, like evolved completely differently.
All right. So Jackie, why do Harlans suck?
Okay.
As falconry birds.
So Michael trapped an intermediate male. I trapped a dark-faced female, and we put our all into this. I mean, we did the whole squirrel pole thing. Fed only squirrel. Let's go after young squirrels. Like I've tried to maximize success literally as much as possible. Almost treated it like it was this, chamber bird that had never been exposed to anything, right? And it was like so frustrating that I was like pulling my hair out. Like I probably have gray hair because of it. It was so frustrating. And she would like chase but pull up and was never committal. And then I'm sure you guys know, you've heard this from other people too. Like this is not a new thing. I had a buddy just a couple years ago. Yeah, he trapped they're stunning. We can't disagree with that. They're great looking. And he went out and couldn't help himself and trapped a nice female Harlan's. I said, just don't try it on squirrels, man. He's like, well, I don't really have squirrels here. So he handed it on bunnies. He probably put 100 bunnies in front of it. Was using dogs at first, cut that out, no difference. I said, well, I know this chick who said she used to catch a couple pheasants with these things. We know these birds are really birdy. They'll catch blackbirds out of the air.
Wow.
A big part of their diet is birds. And so he went out and tried that. And he said, man, I put a lot of pheasants in front of this thing. And I'm really trying everything weight-wise. I cannot get this bird to commit. She always pulls off or she doesn't chase at all. And I've actually heard the same thing about criders, that it's like so much work, and you're probably only going to get a half-ass bird anyway. So while it's like really fun and really cool, people release them or give them away for a reason.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know. So personal anecdotal story time. Phil and Paul Aaliyah flew they flew a Harlan. I don't know if it was just a dark red tail. It would, fly over the treetops, and then it would, flush something, it'd come through the trees and it would smash any rabbit it saw, like with the dogs, like no problem. It was just like a red tail that was dark and then was very, very aerial. And then I got my hands on a Harlan's. It was like a true Harlan's, like with little tiny feet.
Yeah.
And it was like little rabbits and baggies, and it was terrified. Like all it wanted was mice and stuff. Like it would not. Like it was just, and I didn't really have the patience to deal with it, so I just gave it away. It was given to me, and I gave it back. But it was just. And then so Chris Brown from Jersey, she flies at Criders, and she's had that bird. I don't know if it passed away, but she's had it passed away, Aaron.
Yeah, I just heard about that. Yeah, I know her from a while back. It was like 32 or something.
Yeah, but she used to catch a bunch of bunnies with it, and it was
I think
super
that was
neat.
intergrade. I don't think it had the Harlan's tail. I know it had kind of a partial white head. I think
it was super white looking, but yeah, I never really got a good look at the thing.
Yeah.
And all the pictures, I could just see the chest.
No, that was like didn't that bird caught a lot of squirrels and bunnies and stuff?
Yeah, it caught everything.
Like,
so
not all the time, but it was a perfectly fine bird.
Yeah, is it just like a bird personality difference, or the trainer, or is it just they have a tendency that's like, because you look at Connor's videos of his dark morph, and you're saying that that's a completely different subspecies, but to me, it just looks like a red tail. Like it just looks like a red tail that's dark, and I've seen it fly, and it smashes just like a regular red tail. It doesn't do anything different, and it even looks just pretty much the same. It's just dark.
Exactly. And it comes from the same population. It would breed with a normal intermediate rufous or light morph western with no issues. And that's the only difference, is they're dark, so they have an aesthetic appeal. But no, they're completely badass. You could excel with a dark one just the same as any other. But when you look at another subspecies, another population, that's like its natural history is different, its morphometrics are different, you can expect a different behavior. And these birds were so hard, and I was really committed, like so committed, despite what everyone told me. And then despite everything I told my friend, he still tried. I was like, man, no, So that didn't work out. He was happy to get rid of the thing.
Yeah.
So did you ever catch a squirrel with the Harlans?
One, and then I gave it to my buddy in Alabama. And he was like, oh yeah, I've caught like 300 squirrels in a season before. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Let's just, whatever. He actually is really a squirrel hugger. I don't really have much reason to doubt him. It's just 300 is twice as much as I've ever killed in a season. But that's okay. But no, he went out and he gave it back. He's like, I don't want this thing. He's like, I caught a few, but they were really small. He said she'd only go after the really young ones, and he had to drop her. And they are smaller. But she was trapped at 42, and she was pretty big for our Harlan's from what I know. And I think he flew her at like 32. So we're talking about like a 20% or more weight drop. And
was that in grams? Like 900?
I don't know. Let me look. So she was 42, right on the dot.
42?
So she was 1190 when I tried her. DNA sex female.
Okay.
And then he hunted her at 907.
Yeah, a bird that you have to slam the weight to get it to do what you need it to do is just not. It's just annoying. Like, just get a different bird.
You couldn't feel her keel. I don't think it was like I need to like bring this bird to submission. I mean, there really wasn't nothing there for her to work with anyway.
Right.
And even trapping that bird was annoying. Even on a gerbil, it took a long time.
Screw that bird.
I let it go, and I was happy.
Yeah.
So I won't fool with one again. I don't even know if I'd fool with. Somebody's like, oh, I got this big Criders, and I just don't want it. So here you go. I talked to Aaron about this the other day. I said, Aaron likes a challenging aspect of falconry. I am like literally the opposite. I want shit to be as easy as possible. Like, I want to be done with work, and I want to go out, and I want to kill some stuff, and come home without holes in my hands or, whatever, like, or listen, or my eardrums bursting because of whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want this to be an easy, fun thing for me to do. And I don't want to challenge at all. And like, I've learned that over the past few years, I don't want anything to be challenging. Yeah. So I'll probably never do that again.
Well, I think if you're going to fly any kind of a phase, I mean, it seems like just skip over the whole middle of the country and just go straight to the western coast and get one of those dark phase. Because I've been toying with it for like the last 3 years.
Really?
Like flying out there and getting one like the first day of trapping season and bringing it back here and then like training it and then like semi, like not really hunting it, but like almost like a hack where I'm there and just let it chase squirrels around and learn how to use the trees and then kind of like build into it and then try to hawk it on squirrels and rabbits. But like, I think if you're getting a bird in the middle of the, in like November, December, and it's just catching mice and then, like, I don't know. It just seems like what Connor does, like that bird, it seems more like our red tails than it does like the birds, like the Harlans and stuff in the middle of the country.
They're totally different.
You know what I mean? They seem like a completely different bird, like totally.
They're literally completely different. I mean, everything from their personality, it's similar to even just a borealis. They're well related. They interbreed all the time. So, there's not a huge difference there. I mean, we know that they are on average smaller, but are they so much smaller that they couldn't handle a squirrel? Probably not.
No,
no. Fine.
Size means not. In my personal opinion, size means nothing with squirrels. You just need a bird that just is savvy.
I don't necessarily agree with that, Casey.
Well, okay, like a giant, like a foot that's a millimeter wider is not going to make a difference when the freaking tooth goes through it. It doesn't make a difference.
Right, but you can grab a red tail that's not big enough to handle squirrels.
It doesn't know that it thinks it's not big enough to handle squirrels.
I mean, literally.
It's mental.
What do you mean, literally? You could. I flew a 700-gram Tearsville goshawk that would snatch squirrels out of the tree and strangle them by the throat, like it was nothing.
We're talking about goshawks, though.
No, we're talking about red tail. I'm saying a red tail.
A 700-gram male red tail on squirrels.
Damn, that's small.
No, but okay, whatever. My point is the bird has learned through its experience that squirrels are not its cup of tea. If you got an imprint red tail that was 800 grams and you entered it slowly and fat on squirrels, it would probably take squirrel.
I get what you're saying, but I'm sorry, Jackie, but I do think there is, like when you're out trapping with an apprentice, there's a size of red tail where you say, this isn't worth keeping. This isn't going to be able to effectively handle squirrels.
Because of its personal experience.
Because it's small.
Because it's small.
The red tail expert. Let's ask the red tail expert. Jackie, what do you think?
I feel like I can give two perspectives on this.
And don't worry about hurting Casey's feelings.
Okay, I won't. I was like that way, and I was brought up by my sponsor, bigger's better. Because we're hunting squirrels. I don't
agree. I don't agree with that necessarily.
No, it's definitely not better. Not for the jokes that everyone's making in their car on the way to work right now. It's not better because the size gets in the way. It just gets completely in the way.
I mean, the best red tail is like a 42, 44 ounce female.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I've flown because of the way I was taught, right? With my sponsor a long time ago, said regardless of keel, this wasn't even part of the conversation at that time. If this bird isn't at least 47, toss it. Do you know how many birds I trapped that year to try to find the one that my sponsor would let me keep? A lot. It took till like January. It was really bad. And the point is, I've still gone and caught birds between 1350 and 1450. And guess what they flew at?
42 ounces.
Right.
That's exactly right. Yeah, they flew between 40 and 42, or about maybe right at the 1200 range or a little bit lower. It just took longer to get them going. Whereas if you trap a bird that's in that range already, but it's sharper,
right,
you'll be out in 2 weeks. So that's something that is important to me. And I feel like I watch these videos of folks and they're out trapping and they're like, oh, this bird's a beast. Like, man, I'll hear your update in 6 weeks when you get that thing
I think
out.
more like, I think the weight of it is just pretty, it's kind of just like a simpleton way to view things. If you see this, like if you put a, you know, like when I had a 1,550 gram red tail, she would catch squirrels, everything, multiples at 1,500 grams. She was huge. And if I trapped a bird and I put the hood that was on her that she would use, if I put that on the bird that I trapped, and the thing was like flopping all over the place, I'm like, all right, this is kind of a small bird. I really just kind of look at the head and the feet. I don't really care about the rest. If the feet are nice and thick and the head is thick, then I'm like, okay, this is a bird I would like to, you know, this bird obviously knows, you know, it's got a scratch mark, a bite, you know, it's like, this is the bird I'm going to fly for squirrel. Like, it's probably a badass bird. Like, I don't care about the weight. I used to care about the weight, but now it's just like, now it's just, it just gets in the way. If you're chasing rabbits and even squirrels, like that bird has like one shot and then it's like 15 minutes to the next slip, literally.
Well, yeah, imagine like that much weight coming down. The squirrel runs because they miss and they have to get up and recover and get up and recover. That's not as easy for a really hefty brick to do.
That's what I meant when I said it gets in the way. It's just too much. You just need a confident bird. I think the size is not really the thing. You just kind of, if you get a smaller sized bird that's like a tweener that's got bite marks on its feet and stuff, I would rather fly that than a giant. Well, I mean, I don't know. If I trap the giant female, I'm keeping it. But if you know what I mean, like we all get fixated on the weight. And I just think it's not the answer to the question.
You're totally right. I couldn't agree more. And Michael, I mean, he's been flying for as long as I have. He's like, man, I'll take whatever I can get. And so 9 times out of 10, that's been males. He's like, I love him. I love him. I mean, he's got this awesome legendary video that's so old, shit quality. And the squirrel's bailing from, I guess, a 60 or 70 foot pine. It's just like, meow. And the bird like is lower. So it flies up and it does a backflip to come down and slant. And I'm like, I don't know how many times I've seen like a female big chunky red tail just straight up do a backflip in there. I mean, to invert is one thing, but to do a whole backflip and come down, like they really are more acrobatic. I don't know if there's a speed difference. You look at golden eagles, and those are pretty fast
in the right circumstance.
My female was going pretty fast
Aaron.
when she hit that fence.
Jeez, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
This guy today was just like, I was sending a video of my dog flushed a rabbit out of a rock pile, and I'm looking like, and the thing just shot out like eye level with me and like hit me in my chest, literally the rabbit, and then hit the ground and ran, and then the bird caught it. And then Aaron in the group chat is like, must be nice to have a bird that's alive. And I'm like, Aaron, I'm like, come on. You're making me feel bad.
Hey man, we've all been there. You fly long enough, it's gonna happen.
Anybody who says anything different, they're just ignorant.
They haven't flown long enough. That's all.
Yeah, or hard enough is the word. But
that's probably more important. Yeah.
So you broke my heart about the criders, though, because that's always been kind of a dream of mine, was to fly one of those really pretty white red tails.
Oh, they're stunning. They really are stunning. But yeah, I mean, hey, prove me wrong. Go ahead and get one, man.
Nah,
I just heard it's not just me. It really is.
I've done enough kooky shit. I don't need to do something else.
All right. Kooky. Well, you know what? Like I said, feel free to prove me wrong. I'll eat the crow.
I'm sure there are people who are going to be like, oh,
actually, no. But so Chris Brown's bird, you're saying is not a true crider because of like whatever.
Yeah, it looks like an intergrade. The criders have to have a pink tail with a white base at the.
So Aaron, get an intergrade that looks similar, and then you could.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen pictures of some in Louisiana that were kind of criders looking. Those are probably intergrades, aren't they?
Yeah, I caught an intergrade. It was really tiny. I didn't have much faith in it. I just let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, my whole point earlier was there's a window, I think, of the size of bird you need to catch squirrels. And if you're in the Southeast, you're going to be hunting squirrels, right? You just
totally.
Unless you're like an ignorant, like completely backwards minded, like buffoon. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. That's fair to say. But so like, if you could expect the male to fly at like 900 grams, that's fair, right? He can handle squirrels.
900, sure. Okay.
Yeah. But back to the point earlier about the big females, the only big female I ever flew, she like had a hard time like lifting off. She was so huge. She was like, it was like a labor just to get up into the trees.
Then they're missing that recovery.
Yeah.
They miss where maybe they'll get up once, but they're not doing that. You know what I mean? Like chasing it like a dog on the ground.
That's what I'm saying. It's just too much. Like I went in the beginning of my falconry career as an apprentice flying a bigger female. And then I went to a falconry meet and I saw Joe, I think it's Joe Savastano. He had a tiercel red tail and he pulls it out of the box. And I'm like, what the heck is that thing? It's like this tiny little, and we start flushing bunnies for this thing and it's smashing and then like flying straight up through the cover, hovering and then smashing again. It was like a goshawk. I'm like, holy crap. I didn't know they could do that. You know, it's just a completely different experience flying a smaller red tail than flying the big girls.
Dude, I saw that last week, and I don't think I've seen that in person before. My former sponsor, he's got this new apprentice. He's super gung-ho. I love the guy. And his first bird, he's like, oh, I got to get a big female to like facilitate my success. He really wants me to get a big female. God knows how many juvies he turned loose. And finally, he's like, well, I'm going to run out of time here. So he kept this, I think it's flying around 850 or something. And yeah, I got to see that last weekend where the squirrel went into a hole and it hovered in front of the hole. There was no wind. It's just hovering in place. I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then it binds to the hole, but it wasn't just like a boom, fall down and then get back up. It was hovering in place of the hole, which was really cool.
Yeah. You're not going to see cool stuff like that with a big giant female.
No, but it is nice to hear the noise they make when they smash.
When they smash a rabbit so hard, the intestines go flying everywhere. Oh, I've seen that literally in person. I've literally seen that.
Well, I've never seen that on a squirrel,
Not on a squirrel.
But I've heard some crater-like moves, obviously, with a tall, long bailout in the ground.
Jackie, before we switch gears to away from color, I need to ask your opinion. Can you study this?
I sent you the picture, Jackie. Look at your phone.
Look at your phone. Can you study this? Jeremiah Weber's bird from PA. Shout out to Boondocks Outdoors, bow reels, trinkets, coyote covers.
Yeah.
Can you
the king of the
selfie king, the brightest smile on the interwebs? Can you narrow down what that gene is so that we can replicate that and start? Mike Clark. Don't let Mike Clark get his hands on it. It'll be $5,000.
This is the first one I've seen. Kimberly Becky up in Michigan or Minnesota. One of Kimberly.
Say that one more time. I'm so sorry. I was laughing.
Kimberly Becky. She's up north.
Kimberly. What is it?
Yeah, I can't remember if she's in Minnesota or Michigan. I think she's.
What's her name? Kimberly.
Yeah.
Kimberly, what is her last name?
Becky, B-E-T.
Oh, yeah. Kimberly Becky. Yeah, she's in Michigan.
A similar, it looked almost those. Yeah, this is a dilute gene. So we don't know what the name of the gene is or anything like that or how we could manipulate it. But it's a dilute. There's many different variations of albinism. And this is, believe it or not, technically one version of albinism. Yeah, so that's a dilute color gene. And I've seen some juvie red tails in photos on eBird that are, these are silver red tails. They're actually gray. All the way down, blue eyes, completely silver.
It's incredible. And those so now Jack, as a color expert, essentially, those golden sakers that people are selling for like $200,000, is it the same genetic mutation or no?
I don't think so.
No? They look very similar though.
Yeah, they do. I don't actually think it's the same thing. But I haven't tested their blood, so I can't really say for sure.
I think if you get some oil money grants, some Habibi grants, you'll get funding for that because that's an insane gene. Aaron, have you ever seen those golden sakers?
I have. So the issue they have, and I don't know, clearly this bird is fine, but something we see with reduced melanin. So you have two types of melanin. You feel melanin and you eumelanin. And what we see with this is more brittle feathers. And I'm not talking about a little bit. I'm talking about it's like it's really bad. And they look scruffy all the time. You ever even seen these leucistic birds out in the wild? That they look scruffy.
I've never looked at one up close. I have one in my neighborhood. But it's like a pie. It's a pie more mutation.
Yeah. So their feather quality suffers because they don't have the same literal amounts of melanin in their feathers as other birds, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But we know that mites and lice tend to feed on the whiter parts of the feather. Even if you just look at your regular old juvie eastern bird, you'll see where they're cut up. Some feathers are cut up and chewed up. So we know that darker feathers are stronger. No, but I mean, Kimberly had that bird for at least, I think she intermuted it and it was like fine.
She bought a puppy from me. I need to talk to her about this.
Oh yeah, she got a dachshund, doesn't she?
Yeah, she.
So wait, I'm missing something. I missed something. So she flew one of those. She had a bird that was similar to the one that Jeremiah had.
Like maybe a little lighter dilute though. Yeah.
Oh, even more dilute than
Probably, yeah. I think so.
Now, you're not a lawyer, Jackie, but I was going to trade a Siberian goshawk to Jeremiah for that bird. I'm still actually pushing for it, and he won't give me an answer. Is that illegal?
Why would it be illegal?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Is that not just a transfer?
I was like, dude, just take the albitus and catch a bunch of rabbits in the wide open in PA, a bunch of rabbits, and give me that cool looking red tail so I can play with it.
Yeah, I would do that. I would make that trade.
Yeah. Well, if you had that red tail, would you make that trade?
No.
Exactly. That's my problem.
But I like red tails anyway.
I love red tails too. It's a goshawk or a red tail.
Yeah.
So that's
I feel it.
Yeah.
So on the subject of size, so that's very important to us.
Oh.
Is there a subspecies that's larger than others?
Yeah, this will surprise you. The Umbrenus subspecies is in Florida, and it's not just like North Florida. It's like Central or South Florida, and their residents, they don't migrate. I don't know why. It doesn't follow our what we call biogeographical rules for size or coloration. But they are historically larger animals.
That makes no sense.
And not only are they larger, like significantly larger birds, but they're also more saturated in color. They're like really bright. I mean, the bright oranges, the reds, like the blacks, like they just look different.
What's it called?
Umbrenus. There's a lot. There's a lot of subspecies here, but I always wanted to try my hand at one of those. I'm like, Borealis will get it done just fine.
Yeah, I'm just
that. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Aaron, we got to go. We got 2 stops to make. We got to go down there. We got to trap one of those birds, and then we got to go talk to Python Cowboy. So we got 2 stops this summer.
If he'll take our call.
I don't know. The guy's big time now. So that makes no sense though, Jackie, because from a scientific standpoint, I don't know the terminology scientifically, but white-tailed deer in Florida are tiny. Right. White-tailed deer in Alaska are huge. So there's that. What'd you say it was?
There's a biogeographical rule. I don't remember if it's Golger's rule. I don't remember which one it is. I haven't been.
Everything gets bigger the colder it gets.
Latitude.
Right. So that's a proven scientific fact, or that's just anecdotal. I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just curious.
It's a biological rule, so it stands most of the time.
Okay, but with this particular subspecies of red tails, it does not. Stand.
It's really weird. I don't really know why. I mean, I've got a colleague who's he works with the Red Tailed Hawk Project. Maybe you've seen it on Facebook or something. He's looking kind of more into their relationships, their phylogenetic relationships, all these populations across North and Central America, and is finding some interesting stuff. But yeah, no, it makes no sense. Why would a bird in like Key West, where it's like super hot, need to be so big?
Right.
The big were animals in the Ice Age. Huge.
Right.
So it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I mean, and yeah, some of the people I know who've flown these really South Florida birds, they are enormous every time.
What are they flying at? Or is it just like the dimensions are bigger?
It's like 85 ounces.
Yeah, right. No, both. Like
1,800 grams.
If you look at like the official measurements, if you're looking at wing chord or you're looking at the tarsus width, all of those measurements they use like scientifically, they're all bigger. Like the bill length, all of that's bigger. And I know, I have no idea.
And we
why.
got to go.
It's really cool. Maybe, I mean, it might just be an adaptation. I mean, maybe they're hunting
Gators.
a lot. Yeah, who knows?
Tegus.
Maybe they're hunting less mice out there. I mean, who knows? Maybe they had to get bigger.
That is a very good observation that they're.
I didn't see many red tails when I'm in Florida. It's a lot of red shoulders. See caracaras.
Red Shoulder City.
Red Shoulder City. When I was down there, it's just red shoulders and gators everywhere. Not much else. And a kite. You'll see kites all over the place.
A lot of owls too.
Yeah, Bart.
I got a buddy who flies branchers. He like really almost exclusively flies brancher red tails in South Florida.
Fun.
He flies them on birds.
What kind of, like ducks and stuff?
Yeah, ducks, but also like shorebirds. I don't even know my shorebirds, but like whatever, the things that are in the wetlands.
Who is this gentleman? We gotta get this guy on the show. Wait, is that the guy? Wait. Is that the guy that flies from a T-perch? He flies from a T-perch and he hits ditches and he catches ducks like crazy with a red tail.
Okay, that sounds like him. I mean, he'll also hunt like
I've
rabbits
seen that,
or whatever.
but like his thing is like,
yeah.
And I think he said years ago we were talking about it, and he said and this is my point. He said the bird only knows what it knows. You have to teach it what it doesn't know. When he's catching ducks from the fist or from a T-perch with a red tail, like consistently, like all the time. Yeah. It's probably the same guy.
And I think it's the exact same guy, and I think that's why he's exclusively a bird. I mean, he's hunted these tiny little fast moving, like I don't even know how his bird catches them, but it just does not stop. Once it gets going, it does not stop until it catches it over the water.
Right.
And so
because it knows it does not know failure.
Exactly.
Sorry. Yeah. That's a key for everybody. That's a pro tip. The pro tip of this episode is if the bird does not know failure, it will never experience failure.
And size does not matter.
And size does not matter on a secondary pro tip.
Can I give like a size does matter anecdote?
Please.
Depends what it is. This is a PG-13 show.
I'm going to be like safe for work here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I flew a bird last year named Corn Dog, and he was a piece of shit. So I worked this bird real hard. He was fine. In fact, I think we free flew him like 15, 16 days out of the trap. Caught a squirrel like the first day out, just like free flying off the crayon, which that's basically what I do is like my free flight is my hunt. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. And that's good.
And he caught a squirrel, and it wasn't even like an easy thing. He was like bouncing off the creek, like left and right. Like it was like he was like a pinball, but he held on and it was great. And we hunted the crap out of him. I mean, obviously, yeah. So we're going out every day, pretty much 3:15 to 5:20 or whatever. And I don't know what happened. I don't know. He wasn't even that tiny. I think he flew still at like 900 or something or 880. But this bird, I took his jesses out thinking that might help. I tried everything. He would let go of the squirrel coming down. He'd let go of the squirrel with it in his feet. He'd let go gliding with it, let go. And I said, it was a coin flip. If this bird is going to actually hold on or not. And I cropped him up on a lot of kills. I did squirrel pulls for him. I fed him exclusively squirrel. Like I tried really hard to make this happen, and it was still 50-50. I said, oh yeah, I'd be out with people. Who is coming down? Who's going to call it? Because it was that bad. And like Michael, like I said, who flies exclusively males, had never seen that before. And this was my first male, and I was like, never again.
Do you think he just didn't like being bit?
Because
that like everything you just
much. I don't know. Maybe he was just a little bitch. I don't know.
Too small. Sounds like
he wasn't even. But he was still flying at like 30. Like it's not even Michael's best bird he ever had counting line. Thing was a beast. It flew at like 27.
Wow.
I know. So
and you guys are hawking squirrels like exclusively,
right?
Yeah. That's a small bird for squirrels, so yeah, take that into consideration.
No kidding. Yeah, that bird had way smaller feet than Corn Dog, and it was like, I could not believe. We really tried everything, and we started him, I think Christmas Day was his first hunt, and then I flew him till like March 1st, and he caught 25, I was like, well, if it's 50-50, he should have caught 50.
Right.
And I was like, okay, goodbye, corn dog. And I fattened him up. And I said, goodbye. When I moved here. So, yeah.
That makes sense. Everything you're describing, though, sounds like a goshawk where they're just dropping it and letting it go.
They're fast enough where they can recatch.
Right, exactly. So he may have been doing that, but never able to reconnect. And I don't know. I just know my birds when they're about to get bit or they feel this squirrel reaching around and they just let it go. And they flick it.
Reach around.
Yeah. You don't want that. That's not a good thing. You don't want that at the truck stop. Maynard just had a long talk with me about making the show more professional. So sorry.
Oh, wow.
Too late.
Okay.
Okay. So Aaron, what direction you're in charge of this episode, apparently. So what direction would you like to go?
Well, I would love to hear from Jackie how she got into falconry and what that journey was like.
I was thinking the same thing. That's great minds think alike.
It was kind of a effed up story, but here we go. But yeah, so I got into falconry when I was in high school, and I think I was 17. I went to a boarding school, and I had a teacher who was starting falconry and who was into it. He was kind of like a mentor. We were very close, and he was a great guy. And so he had his muse on campus, and he would come in, and I was like, hey, give me it. I'd love to help or whatever. I hated birds at that point. I didn't like them. I don't like parrots. Still don't. I don't want anything to do with birds. Of course, things have changed since then. But so I would go in and I'd help him with his bird. And then I started creancing it and we started flying it and it was awesome. And something just clicked. And then from there, I did a gap year where I worked at one of those silly hawking centers in England in a study abroad where they're flying Harris hawks on rabbits for money and whatever.
That's cool.
It was really
What was that? Can we talk about that? What was that like? That sounds fun.
I mean, it was really not that fun. They had a bunch of birds and they would just do free flight demos like everybody in England kind of does at those centers. And then sometimes clients would pay a little extra money and would go out with 2 or 3 Harris hawks and then try to, flush a rabbit and have them catch it or a pheasant. And that was kind of it. And it didn't really get the juices flowing. Exactly. And then I came back to the States. I started college. And for anybody out there, by the way, who's about to start college and thinking about getting into falconry or saying, oh, but I'm going to start college. I don't know about this. This is the best time in your life to start falconry. Telling you from experience, I started as a freshman in college. Had my bird in a dorm room. Don't do that really, but it was really the best time of my life. I scheduled my classes around my hawking. I made sure I had at least, even if you only 45 minutes in the field, you can catch a lot of squirrels in 45 minutes. Y'all know that. This was a really great time in my life to be doing that. So I wouldn't, God forbid you have a 9-to-5 after college and you don't have as much time as you thought, right?
Correct.
So I think college is actually, that should not persuade you against starting falconry. But yeah, so I was in college, I started, and I found a sponsor I was in North Carolina at the time. I found the sponsor in the Charlotte area, and we really did not get along. He never saw my bird, and I don't know, we both just kind of, I don't know, it was weird. I don't know if it's because I was 18 and he was older and it was weird, but did not work out at all.
Was it Aaron?
No. It did not work out at all. So I was trying to find somebody else. And then I found Keith Book in South Carolina, and that just worked out splendidly. I got this bird that was just, someone gave it to me and this bird's a dud. Do you want it? I was like, yeah. So I drove up to Ohio and I took this dud bird from this guy and I don't know, she's trapped at 46. I've taken her down to 38. I brought her up to 48 and this shit's broken. I was like, oh, whatever. I said, I need to get going. So I don't really care. And we'll see what can happen. And I'll be damned. I mean, I put her on the creance a couple times just to test stuff. But yeah, I put her out. First free flight, just squirrel, easy thing, jumped over my head, boom. And then it was just gangbusters from then on. So whole month of February, first week of March, 25 squirrels.
Jeez. And that was your freshman year in college?
No, this would have been my sophomore year. No, because my first year was totally fucked. I didn't really have anybody really directing me. I was basically just had a pet hawk. I didn't it was flying, but I didn't know how to hunt really. So that's what my other sponsor taught me how to do. And I really just needed to go out a couple times to understand how to do it. But I would do it. I would go out all the time. And then it became very intuitive. So she did well. And I was like, this is not a dud. It got me thinking about duds, by the way. And then her second year, she did 75. Her third year, she did 100. I was really pressed to get 100 that year.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's good. That's a lot.
Well, I'll tell you, she really went downhill after that. And this is not the first time I've heard this happen with some of these older birds. Took her back because when I went away for grad school, I transferred her to my sponsor at the time. He flew her, and it was just she was so picky towards slips and shit. You know what I mean? It was just that crazy juvie behavior where they almost want to kill themselves. It's the last squirrel they'll ever see in their life. And she was, I don't know if she just got smart to it, but it's not the first time I've seen it or heard of it at all. But I ended up taking her from him and then just releasing her. But yeah, I mean, she got so picky. And she had 3 fewer working toes than when I got her.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
We did surgery on one of them. Yeah, I feel like if you're going to go out squirrel hawking every day, if you're yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to kill a squirrel every day, or my day will kind of be ruined. October through February or through March or whenever you start. You keep that bird long enough, it's going to be fucked up. I don't even think it's ethical if you're going to go out every day, which you probably should, to keep a bird more than a few years.
Yeah, especially if you're just after squirrels.
Yeah, squirrels are a sketchy quarry for sure. And that's when I said that people are buffoons if they don't hawk squirrels. That doesn't mean that I don't understand their concern. But it is a historical quarry. It is a biological quarry of the birds that we fly for the most part.
Yeah.
Except for Harris hawks, really. Well, ground squirrels, right, Aaron?
There are ground squirrels and rock squirrels in Harris hawk habitat.
And they're catching those. There's no way they're not catching those.
Seems like gray squirrels are super, super hard on Harris hawks, though. Any Harris hawk you see that hawks squirrels, their feet are just a mess.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's why. Go ahead, Jackie. Yeah, what do you think, Jackie?
No. I mean, I totally agree with that. And I think if you're really just going to choose a squirrel hawk, that's all you want to do is squirrel hawk for a really long time, and you want to go every day and just really rack up the head count or whatever, then I think that you probably need to do, I'm not saying it trap a juvie every year, but I think you should probably switch them out every couple of years. Yeah.
Or just
a lot of
one
on the animal.
Or just one female fin, and you're good.
Bob, my sponsor Bob, says that squirrels are big game for hawks.
I like that. I agree with that. Yeah.
That in the wild, they'll take some, but they're not taking a whole lot. They're always going to prefer to take, rats and snakes and things like that.
Yeah, I think it'd be stupid if a bird thought otherwise.
Yeah.
That would go against probably its evolution, right?
But Jackie, why do you have any why do because I'm a goshawk person and everybody listens to the show understands. Why will a goshawk refuse to get bit? At least an imprint that has been properly entered on squirrels refuses to get bit. Why does a red tail or a Harris hawk not learn that? I don't understand. Do you have any insight on that?
I don't know if it's just instinctive. I mean, we know goshawks in the wild actually do catch a lot of squirrels.
Yes.
I mean, that is a part of their natural history. But I think a big part of their adaptation, and all the videos I watched from you, way back, I would slow this shit down. Grab, it would be like a grab, let go, grab, let go, grab, let go, grab, let go. And they have that agility where it doesn't really make a difference. You let it go in the midair, it's fine. Probably a 70% or more chance they'll re-grab it anyway. And then they're tussling and tussling and tussling, and they finally get a good hold.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. And I don't know who the hell spewed this BS, respectfully, but this whole, they need to learn to grab it by the head. Who said that? Who came up with that?
Aaron said that, yeah.
Oh,
That was me. Yes.
Wow, Aaron.
Back in 1987.
Yes, let's just
Sorry about that.
clear the air. That's so not true. And Jeff Fincher, he's one of my idols for sure. And
me too. Love Jeff.
Exactly what he's talking about. And he has the photography to prove it, by the way. A bird is going to catch, let's talk about red tail just for context. It's going to catch that squirrel by whatever means possible. It's going to catch it by a toenail. I have videos of our birds catching it by the tail, which talk about a slim target width-wise and tumbling. But I kind of have the tail, right? They don't care how they grab it on first contact, because what are the chances that a squirrel is just going to turn around and let's go, let's square up, and I'm going to grab you by the face? That's not going to happen. And it's really when the bird makes first contact that things are going to change, right? Especially if they're just falling, they don't have good control, and they're coming to the ground, then you might see a bit of a tussle there. And that's when the bird is refooting. And so I don't care what you do. I saw somebody say the other day, Keith sent it to me the other day, I have trained my bird to only catch a squirrel by the head. And I don't care. What are you talking about?
How'd you pull that off?
It's avoidable. Squirrel bites are avoidable. It's you're out of your mind. I didn't say that. I'm not even on Facebook. It's been 8 years. You're out of your mind, man.
I saw somebody was it was the subject of squirrel chaps, which I'm curious what you think about that. But they said that the reason people's birds get bit by squirrels is because they only hawk their birds on weekends.
Wait, what? What did was there any follow-up or?
No. So people asked about squirrel chaps. And I used squirrel traps last season for the first time ever, and I was a big fan of them. I thought they were fine. We'll get into that. But they said, I don't find squirrel traps to be necessary. I hawk squirrel, or I fly squirrels, 5-6 days a week. And I think that the reason most birds are bit by squirrels is because the falconer is only flying the bird 2 times a week.
I mean, I can see the argument that they're trying to formulate, but I don't think I don't know that it's in practice if it makes sense, because I'll fly my goshawk once a week if I'm busy with work, and she'll freaking flick it and drop it and then grab it by the head again. It doesn't matter.
So they're basically saying that the birds, I guess they're trying to say the bird's not experienced enough with squirrels because it only flies twice a week.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But Jackie, you flew 7 days a week, and how many times did your red tail get bit?
Well, a lot, actually.
It's actually all its toes are gone, but yeah.
I should have picked Jeff Fincher back in 2016. I was like, "Is this bad?" And he's like, "That's hamburger, man." He said, "That's your hamburger."
My buddy was flying Bill Davis when he passed away. Yeah, I'm sure you knew Bill Davis.
Yeah.
Bill Davis. When he passed away, my buddy was flying his bird, Sandy, which had been around 10 seasons or something like that. Her feet were she had no more scales on her feet. Her feet were just scar tissue.
Right. How old? So how old was that bird? You know how long they had it?
We released it at Bill's memorial service, and that bird, I think, was probably 11 seasons in falconry.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, she'd been bit, how countless times, and that bird had probably caught 1,000 squirrels.
Yeah, probably 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, so she had all the experience in the world, but would still get bit.
Exactly, and that's what I was telling Keith the other day when I was at his house.
Keith who? Keith Hicks?
And he was no Keith Book. He was my sponsor in South Carolina. He's so cool. I've known him forever. He's just a smart guy. He really, all he's ever flown is red tails. That's his thing. Red tails and squirrels. Brewer was his guy growing up in the 90s or whatever. And
I saw Keith in a video was it Hawking Cross, Texas? I
I've
think
seen that video.
he was
was
with.
it like an outdoor show or something?
It was one of those $50 falconry DVDs you could buy from Western Sporting.
Yeah.
And it was there was a portion of it where they were in East Texas with Gary Brewer and Keith was there.
Mm.
But I knew it was him because I remember seeing him at field meet here that Gary Brewer was at. So I put all the pieces together. It was just slowly all came together.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's great. He's a great guy. He knows what he's talking about, and now they're doing the whole alien abduction method thing. Maybe we should get into that later. A lot of different ways to train a red tail.
What's that? Oh, the strobing sounds like?
No, this is different.
Really? What else could... Okay.
Yes.
What is that?
Okay.
Wait.
Let's go
we
there.
can, but Jackie, did you finish your history?
Yeah, your journey into falconry. Yeah, let's finish that. Good one, Casey.
Oh, well, yeah. So I ended up with Keith, who kind of showed me the ropes. And because kind of at the time, people just kind of saw me as this bougie teenage girl. And I was bougie, but I still am bougie.
You were bougie because I remember I was giving you some shit because your bird got injured one time and you made a post that you're going to the vet. And I was like, going to the vet? You're going to spend money on a red tail? What are you?
That was probably.
I'm like, what are you, crazy? But then now looking back, I'm like, well, my dad's a bus driver. I'm 12 years old. I don't have any fucking money, so obviously I'm not going to the vet. But yeah,
that's really funny to me.
And that was a while ago, though, Jackie. I mean, I feel like you've been in falconry for 15 years at least. It's got to be.
Yeah, that's about right. But you're probably talking about the bite that. She couldn't catch squirrels after that. Her hallux flexor tendon was completely lacerated.
Yeah.
She could not close her, and she would try to sideswipe with this foot, and it'd be fine. But if she tried to put the other, we wouldn't catch.
I remember you made a post, and I just remember I was just like a piece of trash, young, probably a general, and I was like, why are you going to spend money on a passage red tail? That's so stupid. And I just remember and when I knew you were coming on, when I knew you were coming on tonight, I was remembering that. I was like, okay, I probably look like a complete idiot back then. Because now if my bird got bit, I'd obviously go to the vet, but I had limited resources. But you
I don't even know what it would take for me to bring a squirrel bit bird to the vet at this point, unless it was had been 2 weeks and that tendon was still down.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the right thing to do if you can do it.
Yeah, but like I said, that bird still had only 1, 2, 3, I think 4 working toes. But if it's just the extensor, if it's just the flexor that's broken and they're pinkies, so let's say the fourth digits, right? It's fine. And that's how I released her. They didn't work. They were just floppy. But she was fine. She caught plenty of squirrels with them like that. Obviously, she could perch. But no, that was a situation where we had to do surgery. It was just going to be bad. And it worked. And that vet wrote a paper on it and everything.
That's awesome. And you proved me wrong back in 2012 or 11.
You proved the son of a bus driver wrong.
The son of a bus driver.
I could dissect a beehive, but I can't even read. But go on.
Well, that was my issues. Bougie. And people couldn't reconcile. Why can you not reconcile bougie with wanting to be a hardcore hawker? You can. You absolutely can.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I do it all the time. Like I was saying, I spend less on handbags now. I have spent way too much money on falconry shit. You know what I mean? But no, I would and that's the thing now. I'm far less judgmental and gatekeepy than I used to be towards people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It takes a lot, I think, for me to be I'm literally never going to talk to you again, and I will not let you get into the sport because by the very nature of it, you have to, got to jump through all these damn hoops. And for me, it was really hard. It was really hard for anyone to take me seriously. So in a way, I kind of empathize with that situation. Yeah. I took on an apprentice a few years ago who was had a very much a pet keeper mentality, just like really kissy and just like very like I want to sleep with the bird in my room, or I just want the bird inside all the time, and he was like an older dude. He's just like very passionate about his bird, like, but in a pet like way, like loved it. And that's like one of my biggest sources of joy is having turned that bird into a killing machine. And yeah, so I was proud of that.
What I've never had an apprentice. Aaron's had like, how many you have? Like 10? Aaron?
No.
Yeah.
Me? Yeah, 10 or 12.
Maybe
Something
15
like that.
probably.
Maybe somewhere between 12 and 15.
Just kidding. No, but I've never had an apprentice before, and I'm like super like wary of it. Like, what's your personal criteria for like choosing an apprentice? What are you looking for? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this guy lived about like 2.5 miles from my house. I mean, if he wanted to, we could like walked there, and he was, we talked, and I just told him over the phone, like, well, I mean, if you really want to get into this, how do you feel about coming out with us in Auburn every single day for like a whole season? He was like, well, let me see if I can adjust my work schedule, whatever. And I was like, sure, whatever. Let's see what comes of it. And he did. I was shocked, but no, he was always out there. And if he had to come late for whatever reason, not at 3 or at 3:20 or 3:45, he would just come find us in the woods. Or I'd pin location, or he'd call me and be like, we're over here, get over here, whatever.
It's good.
And like, he really showed up, and I was like, damn, I was just not expecting that, knowing his personality. And then, he really slayed it. So I'm like very proud of that. And now I'm like afraid to take on other apprentices because I feel like it's not going to go as well now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I was like really wary the same way you were. And I was like, if you really want to do right, then you'll just come out every single day. But if you live an hour and a half away, how can you do that?
Yeah. It's just so hard because you get message, and like I have a decent following, whatever, on social media. So like I get messages like nonstop about that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't know if this person's like wants to kill me or like you know what I mean? Like I can't just tell you to meet me. Like, what's his name? Tyler, Aaron, your boy.
Which Tyler? There's so many
we've
damn
had
Tylers.
quite a few Tylers on the show.
We had Slayton and Wright.
Tyler Wright's the South Carolina guy.
He like just puts like a bulletin board post out, and he's like, I'm going to be here every day. If you want to see falconry, come meet me. And I'm like, dude, you're going to get like friggin' like murdered. Like, what are you, like, what are you doing? But, and he has way more followers than me, by the way. But I'm just super wary of it. And I'm just like, I have a guy that lives where I used to live, like literally around
You're shook.
I'm shook. You know what I'm saying? But this guy, I have a guy that literally lives around the block from where I used to live, like around the block. And he's super gung ho. He like harasses me. He's like, can I come see your setup? You mentioned your buddy lives actually like in the area. Can I go see his setup? I want to get my muse built. I'm scheduling my tests in February, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he strikes me as somebody that would be somebody that I would sponsor, but I'm out of the state now. So I can't sponsor him, but
probably can.
I probably can, right? But there's no reason for me to when there's 4 falconers within, 25 minutes of his house. I just was curious what Jackie looks for, and commitment and dedication obviously is the number one goal, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I was really surprised that type of personality who is like almost, he came from a rehab perspective, and he's just like very, very lovey and kind of like pet keep. And he straight up told me, he said, if I hadn't met you and gone out with you and Michael, like I would have been a pet keeper. That's what I would have done. This bird would have been my pet. And like, it was good for me to hear that because I felt like I saved him from a bad situation.
And that's the struggle that I, and I'm not going to say any names, but I had a person that we were talking to, and somebody that was very interested in falconry, and the person that I was trying to get them to sponsor this person lived very close by. And I said, well, if you don't sponsor them, this person really seems like they're going to find somebody to sponsor them, and you don't want somebody else sponsoring them that's not going to teach them the way that you want to teach them. And this gentleman ended up teaching them that way. And now this person is a very good falconer that's really committed.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, you could say no all you want. You're not going to gatekeep. They're just going to, if they're committed enough, they're going to find somebody else. And then they're going to be, at freaking Renaissance festivals with lantern falcons and, gold, eagle owls, whatever.
Yeah, right.
There's nothing wrong with that. We can do that on the weekends, but during the week we have to catch game. So that's interesting. Aaron, what direction would you like to go now?
I was just going to say that to summarize, Jackie, you've dealt with the judgmental assholes of falconry.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a lot of them.
Starting out, it was absolute hell. Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there. And do you feel like that follows you to this day?
Well, interestingly, that was a big part of why I was on Facebook for as long as I did. I mean, Casey was there for that. I don't know if you and I were there for that, but I started posting every single day. I have to shut these motherfuckers up. And that bird took more multiples than singles that year. I worked 7:30 to 7 to 3. So I was in the woods by 3:30 every single day, rain or shine. I talk about rain hawking, by the way.
Hell yeah.
But yeah. And it really, I feel like I gained so much. Oh my God. Oh, the respect in the community. No, that totally changed things for me. Suddenly everybody was coming to me for questions and help and stuff. And then that continued for a few years until I kind of just saw how toxic the community was in general. And I left Facebook in when I started grad school, 2017. So yeah, I guess that was actually kind of I can't believe it's 2025. Yeah. So that was a long time ago. But yeah, that was kind of my goal, was to just shut people up. And they're like, kill pics or it didn't happen. Okay, well, here's 3, motherfucker. You gonna shut up now? And yeah, it worked. But then my falconry, and I still struggle with this to this day, it's not about the flight. And there's this big thing. Is it about the flight or is it about the kill? And if I come home empty-handed, Michael's going to hear about it on the phone. I don't feel good, and even if the bird did fine, it's really just, and I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's just this personal sense of fulfillment and satisfaction I get from taking game with the bird and knowing the bird feels good from that adrenaline dump and getting the shit out of her system the way I get shit out of my system that way. But yeah, so I still struggle with that a little bit, but not as bad as before. Whereas if my bird doesn't catch, or I feel things just didn't go well, I really beat myself up about it.
Don't ever lose that.
Well,
Don't ever lose
my
the
wife,
ability to
my wife
filter
literally
yourself.
said to me 3 days ago, because I fly every other day. She said, "Oh, you're going to be in a bad mood now all night because your bird didn't catch a rabbit?"
That's so funny.
And I said, "Yeah, I am." And then I went in the shower.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
I
right.
am. Yes, I am.
I mean,
It's
I don't
funny.
throw bitch fits now where I have my axe handle and I fucking yeet it across the forest. I mean, it's not like that, but I am in a sour mood and I got to come home and
I've come to the conclusion. Sorry, Aaron. I have come to the conclusion that it's an innate desire inside of us. It's a human heritage activity that we've been doing for thousands of years. Obviously, it's inside of us that we want to see our birds, our dogs, our bow, our spear, our atlatl be productive in the field. And when it's not, even though it doesn't matter, it does matter. And that's the conclusion that I've come to. And Aaron's rolling his eyes. So thank you.
I'm not rolling my eyes. No, it's so tough with falconry because you've got so many things. Your gun doesn't care if you don't
It'll kill
something.
you. It doesn't care.
But it's when you go out with a hawk, you've got the part where you want to be successful for personal reasons, whatever that might be. But you're developing a hawk, so it's important that the hawk gets out and catches something. That's kind of the best case scenario when you go out is you catch something. Sure, they can learn something from failure, but ultimately you want to catch something. So I think it's the perfect storm of things that pisses us off when we don't succeed.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel better now. It's not just me, and I'm not
No.
a totals total
It's everybody
nutcase.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, Jackie, you brought up something interesting. Is it the flight that counts or the kill? Last season, my goshawk caught two things one day. One of them was, an awesome flight where it winged over and nailed a rabbit. The other one, it was like it went after a rabbit and missed it. And then it flew up onto like a little T-post that was like literally 3 feet off the ground. And the rabbit like runs underneath it and hunkers down and doesn't even realize the goshawk is there on the T-post. And the goshawk does like a triple take looking down at the ground at the rabbit, like looks down, there's a rabbit, looks down, back and forth, like, yeah, there's a rabbit there. And she just kind of like falls on it, catches it. I'm like, okay.
Who cares? Hell yeah, let's go.
It's like, I was excited by that, but it was like the most unimpressive thing in the world.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if I'll ever figure out if that matters or not.
I feel that, it's hard for that to happen with like squirrels, unless you're pulling one out of a hole with your glove or your bare hand or whatever and just like eating it. But it's like hard to have that experience with like I've caught some rabbits in my life where I counted it, but I was like a little disappointed. You know what I mean? I was like a little bit disappointed that it wasn't another squirrel, especially if I was going for like a quad or 5 and I was just like, man, like it's just because it's just like boom. And it was like so easy and it just didn't feel the same way, I guess. And obviously not
rabbits in the woods. So when you run into a rabbit while you're squirrel hawking, that rabbit's done.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of disappointing. It almost feels like catching, I guess, the equivalent for rabbit hawkers to be like a vole, right? I guess in the field. Yeah. Like that's kind of how it felt to me. Whereas with like, God, the adrenaline of like, you could chase the same squirrel for 2 hours. Like I have. And it's insane. And like, sometimes it's just sitting. Sometimes you're just, but oh my God, it's like, can be so insane and crazy. And it's like, got my heart pumping. And it's so insane. And then like she finally catches it and it's in this crazy way. And you're like, oh my God, she got it. And it's like it's like the best feeling. And if you can replicate that on a really good season almost every day, there's nothing better, man.
Oh yeah.
Squirrel hawking is exciting.
Totally. It's very rarely boring. It can be, but it's very rarely boring.
It's almost
gets boring when you've got an experienced bird that just sits there and waits for the squirrel. That's like,
well, I'm talking about like some of these older intermewed birds that are just kind of wait or sit.
Yeah, that's a good segue. Jackie, do you ever? So for me, over the years, it gets to like the 4th season, and then the bird starts to become obnoxious during like the late season, where they're just trying to attack every other raptor in the area because of a hormonal thing. Do you experience that? Do you ever put a cutoff on that where you stop hawking, or is that not an issue for you?
No, in the past, that hasn't really been an issue. I feel like with the this is just anecdotal. This is just my experience, but we've all kind of seen red tails, not cooperatively, competitively hunt with other red tails on the same squirrel in front of our eyes. A random wild red tail will come in, juvie, adult, doesn't matter, and they're both corkscrewing around, chasing the same squirrel. And I've had this happen until March. And I've never had a bird check off to chase another bird. I think once my bird kind of like casually checked off to chase the red shoulder and then came back and like still kind of chased, So I wouldn't like cut it off because of that. I think that's kind of a pussy.
Yeah, I've just noticed, we're on this topic of red tails. I've noticed that at the 4th season, roughly, they start getting during like February, like at the Jersey meet, like I'm going to meets and stuff. And then the bird is like flying across an entire field. Like when there's a lull in the action, there's like, they're flying across the field to like crab with a red tail somewhere, and then come back or not come back, like if,
I could see that. And I think my instinct is that if you're squirrel hawking and it's a very thick wooded area, then maybe you're less likely to encounter that. And that's probably the only reason.
That's good. Aaron, have you experienced that?
It's got to be territorial, right? With mature birds as they start to get sexually mature. That's got to be what it is. Yeah. Jackie, that you talking about the red tails coming in and hunting wild red tails. What do you think about flying a cast of red tails?
Man, Connor's done it before. A couple people out west have done it before. Really, really old footage from like the 90s, probably. I think it was somebody on the East Coast who was flying a cast of two passage birds. But even all that stuff that I've seen, no matter the sex, no matter the age, it just seems to be kind of crazy. And like maybe it's better on a jack because it's a larger animal. So it's like more area for them to occupy. But if I could, I would. I talk about it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it this year. Like I literally say that in my head almost every season that I want to try it. But I just don't see it going well. And I feel like it's just going to cause.
You and Michael ought to try it this year.
Everyone tells us that. And I just don't. We've had plenty of opportunities and I just don't see it working. I'm more effective the way that it is. I don't want any more headaches. I mean, I already said this should be easy. I do not want a challenge.
So you guys could find a nest site that has the young have fledged, trap a male from the site, trap a female from the site. You guys, the way you keep your birds, they can probably see each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're tethered. They can see each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just so they would be siblings, put them out together when you're hunting and try it out. And if it doesn't work, then you both have your birds you can fly separately.
I almost feel like that'd be worse. I feel like as siblings, they already are so competitive in the nest.
Well, my idea is the male and female have sorted it out.
That's a good point.
I think male and female would work better than anything else for sure.
Yeah. I was going to say two males.
I think adults would work better, intermewed birds.
I was going to say,
what were you saying,
Casey?
I
was just going to say my initial thought would be two males because they're both submissive from the nest. But I like the fact that you said a female that has already asserted dominance in the nest. So the Tiercel is just going to yield to the female no matter what. But yeah, I've seen videos of it. I've seen intermewed birds with red tails catching the same head together on some YouTube video somewhere. I saw that. And they just did it so casually. They didn't even address it in the video. It was just like we talked about this on the show a couple of times. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? There's two red tails chasing a squirrel on a tree, and then they're both mantling over it like Harris talk. And then both falconers are trading their birds off to, a trade-off. It's like, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So obviously it can be done, but a punctured air sac is all it would take, and the game's over. Or you're gonna have a problem. Like it just, I don't know if there's like a plus to the whole situation.
Well, it'd be a fun experiment if you get bored, and I don't get bored.
Right. Yeah.
But it would be a fun experiment.
I don't have enough time. I don't have enough extra time in my day to get bored about anything.
Have y'all know Marshall Davis, who flies that male red tail and female Harris?
I'm in love with Marshall Davis.
You're in love with him. There's a love affair.
I'm serious. I love that guy.
He's so cool.
He is the nicest, sweetest guy you will ever meet. He's so talented. He's an artist.
Who's this guy?
He's just incredible, dude.
He's not far from me now.
Yeah, he's out there, and he's probably like 45 minutes south of you. Be my guess.
Is he on the gram?
He's not.
He is. He's Falcon Father 69.
No way, really?
No, he really is, which is really funny for him.
Falcon Father?
I don't think it has a double entendre there, but
I follow him already, but why have I not?
I'm guessing he was probably born in 19.
Is he a taxidermist or what?
Yeah, he is.
He is, yeah.
He's a painter, he's a taxidermist. He's incredible. But Jackie was getting at what he did with a Harris hawk and a red tail. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah. So I think he had a male red tail. I think his name is Rudy or something. And then he's got a female named Harry. I don't know how I remember this stuff. I don't even remember human names. It's something like that. And this has been going on for a long time that he does this. This is not just a few years. This is like a long time that he flies them together. And I think most of the time, I can't remember which one flushes, but it really is a flushing and then a catch. And that's how it is every single time. I cannot remember which one does what. But it's like a chasing, flushing thing and then a catch. And the other one doesn't even come down. I think it might be the Harris. I don't know.
So it's not like a true cast where they're like sharing the kill.
I don't know. I mean, you see Harris hawks that do the same thing where, one will catch something and the other one just sits there and looks,
That's true. Yeah. Okay. That's true. Yeah.
Bob told me.
That's what he does. I mean, I don't know if he's like more successful having done it that way. And I know they share a chamber. They've shared a chamber for a while. He kind of encouraged them to breed. And I think they may even have heartedly tried even.
What do you mean by encourage them to breed?
Like he kept them together. There was like a nest.
Yeah, you could do it. You could do it.
Yeah. Come on, guys. We had like a nest box and there was like, we kept them together all the time. And then like they'd get broody and like hormonal and like their behavior would change. But I mean, there's no one's an imprint. There's no AI happening. Nothing's come of it. But
we were talking to a guy last week, I guess, and he had a Harris hawk red tail that was a result of a natural pairing in captivity.
Oh, wow.
It was a beautiful bird, too.
Yeah, crazy looking. I'd love to fly one. The only Harris hawk I'd ever fly.
Got my heart beating, man. Thumping. It was like...
I've seen some weird hybrids.
I'll send you some pictures of it. But yeah, so that's actually... We're kind of going back to wild red tails. Wild hybrids. Have you ever heard of any wild red tail hybrids?
Oh, a ton, yeah. A lot of things. There was a red tail, red shoulder hybrid that bred with a red tail. That hybrid rebred with a red tail, and it looked exactly as you would think. There's a red tail, rough-legged hybrid. These were found in the wild. Red tail ferruginous hybrid. It's really not that weird. Now, what's really weird is in England, and this isn't even recent. This was again years ago. They managed a red-tailed goshawk hybrid. You guys remember that?
Like a wild pairing?
No. It's the UK. These are all captive imprint birds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I've seen pictures and stuff like that. I just, nobody.
That thing was crazy looking. I mean, of course, they have tribrids of like Buteos and eagles and stuff, but to get like a goshawk, to go from like accipiter to Buteo is kind of a jump there. Yeah. And most of the eggs, those embryos are not viable.
Correct, yeah.
But they did produce a male and it just looked, wow. It was so weird looking. Goshawk red tail is crazy.
Wonder if it survived.
It did, yeah. There's a rule actually. I think it's the Haldane's law or something. It's that the heterogametic sex is least likely to be viable. I'm not Googling this right now. But there's a rule about this that proves that a certain sex is more likely to be viable than another in a hybrid situation where they're very distant from an evolutionary perspective.
Interesting.
And so that's kind of why that bird was the only one there and all the females died.
Interesting, yeah.
I've thought about getting a ferruginous red-tail hybrid because those have popped up here in the United States. People have kept
every year, $2,500. Yeah.
But so I asked somebody in California, and they were like, "Yeah, he doesn't really want to sell to anybody on the East Coast. Like, how are we ever going to know if they'll squirrel hawk?"
Right. They're just for. All right, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. Aaron,
what are they for?
Aaron, change the subject.
Yeah, no. What are they for?
No, they're just for nature centers and people that aren't going to fly them because that's apparently all that people want to sell them for.
It seems like anything unusual out there never gets flown.
It does not get flown. Isn't
that just so sad?
It's like, and God forbid you throw a number at one of these breeders out west, and then now you're a cheapskate because you want to take $500 off the price. Anyway,
sounds like he has personal experience.
I sure do. But it's just, like if I'm breeding something, I would rather see it used than just be in a program for just the general public. Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
Totally.
Like I'm not a criminal for asking for $500 off the price.
I mean, what kind of bird are you talking about here? How exotic are you getting?
If I say it, everyone's going to know it. So I'm not going to say it.
I think I know what it is, and I think I know who you're talking about. So that's okay.
So
we're probably thinking of the same thing, and that's exactly what I want to get to.
Okay. Well, after the episode ends, we'll confirm.
Okay.
Are there other beautios, Jackie, that you think you could fly on squirrels and rabbits?
You mean squirrels?
And this could be, squirrels. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, squirrels. So, like, for the one that comes to mind for me is auger buzzards. I would love to try one, but I don't want to pay $5,000 for something that may or may not be as good as a red tail.
Are they that expensive here?
Yeah, they're really expensive. The African buzzards.
Yeah.
Are they a beautio? I'm not sure if they are a beautio.
Yeah, they're beautio. When I was in England a long time ago, it was like 2010, 2011 maybe, where I worked at that place. They had an auger buzzard, and I mean, it was just a demo bird. I just like trained it and like taught it to fly to random people and shit like that for money.
For money.
I mean, it was for money.
It just sounds funny with you saying it.
I know. Unpaid internship, by the way, just saying. But I mean, I don't know how much it really matters. We've already kind of talked about this, but like the feet are so tiny, it's like rough-legged size. It's like, why bother?
So they have tiny feet.
They're like rough-legged. They're really small. It's like comically small.
Interesting.
But there are some people here in the U.S. Yeah, they fly them. I think some people even use them for baitment. A couple folks.
It's almost like I'm guilty of this too. I'm trying to reinvent the wheel when there's something perfectly good out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you had a really, really, really cool reinvention, I mean, I can see why you'd want to do that, but I don't think auger buzzard is the really, really cool reinvention.
They're just really cool looking birds.
They're definitely cool looking. We're trying to, me and Aaron and the Sporting Chance podcast, we're trying to change the laws in the United States so that every Toyota and Ford commercial on TV doesn't have an auger buzzard; they'll have a red tail hawk instead. So we're in the midst of doing that right now. So
how does it even work with using native species? Like, are we okay? Are we allowed to do that?
We're not allowed to do that. And every single Ford and Chevy commercial on TV has an auger buzzard flying across the desert while the piece of shit Ford or Chevy that's going to break down at 100,000 miles is flying through the desert, kicking up dirt. So me and Aaron are trying to switch it so that we don't have to use a bird from another country. We're going to try to get it so that a red tail or something native can be in the commercial.
Oh, nice. Yeah, please do that.
Yeah, we're on it. Right, Aaron?
It's important to us. Yeah.
I'm laughing, but I'm dead serious. We have quite a list on this process. Suing the federal government for feral cats, switching the regulations for falconry, so it's less restrictive. We have quite the list that is accumulating, and we have quite a few people on board with our demands.
Jackie, how do you feel about feral cats?
I have a lot here. I hate them all.
Me too.
I literally hate them all. I don't want to be public about it, but yeah, I hate them all.
You can be public about it as long as you don't tell us what you actually do when no one's around.
I haven't actually done anything. I just have thoughts about it, intrusive thoughts.
That's what I say. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Oh, I hate them. And as a scientist too, ornithologists hate them. It's not like it's just us. Like anyone who's even just a birder who goes out for funsies on the weekend, they all hate them too.
Why do you think that it's become like this cult where nothing can be done about it, nothing can be said about it, and it's allowed to go on by the government? Why do you think that?
It's just because it's cats, and I don't know what the statistics are, but probably 1 in 3 Americans owns a cat. So
I own cats, and I hate feral cats.
And then the TNR thing, trap, neuter, release. I mean, we know that's not very effective. And then people go out and I feed the colonies, I take care of the feral cat colonies, and blah blah blah. People would not be. Gosh, do you remember that story years ago about that vet? She was a veterinarian. She went out with a bow and arrow, and she
I know exactly what you're talking about.
She straight up arrowed a feral cat and posted a picture on it. Oh my god, it was really bad. I don't know if she lost her license, but this bitch was in trouble.
You mean good?
This lady got in big trouble for it.
Yeah.
She got in big trouble for what?
For shooting a feral cat with a bow.
And then posted a picture of it.
Well, she shouldn't have posted the picture, but let's be clear about what it was. Removing an invasive species that's destroying the ecosystem. Let's just phrase it correctly. Because it's incredible to me. And Bobby Kennedy is he's a big friend of the show, big supporter of the show, and we're trying, well, I shouldn't say anything like that, but we have plans to try to move forward with something that is going to stop this crap. Because it's insane that we have to jump through hoops to fly a bird to catch a squirrel. But grandma down the road doesn't have to fly through any hoops for her cat to kill everything in the neighborhood. So, like, I don't, how does this make any sense? This makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Dude, over 1 billion bird deaths a year. The number one threat to native wildlife.
Jackie, 1 billion? You said 1 billion?
1 billion birds a year.
1 billion is 3.5 billion.
Well, there you go. It's even worse than I said.
3.5 billion songbirds and 1.4 billion mammals are killed every year by feral cats in the entire country. By the latest.
Also,
Aaron's Google that, Aaron, so we don't get sued.
You want to say America or globally?
No, United States. I don't care about globally.
Yeah, U.S.
The U.S.
Yeah, pull that shit up, Aaron.
Pull that up. Jamie, pull that shit up.
It says they kill 1.3 to 4 billion.
To
so
4?
That's according. Yeah, it's according to. All right, so this is Cornell.
No, Cornell can't be trusted. No offense.
That's Jackie's alma mater,
no
right?
offense, Jack.
No, it's not, but I do work with them, actually.
No,
so.
we love Cornell. They do a lot with birds, so we love Cornell.
It says there are the feral cats kill 1.3 to 4 billion birds and 6.3 to 22.3 billion mammals each year in the U.S. alone.
So how are we? I'm asking, like, from a sarcastic but serious standpoint, why do we have to fill out permitting and licensing if we took every single falcon in the entire country and we took all their head count and we put it in a big basket and we handed it to the federal government? What do you think that number would be? Would it be 20,000 head taken a year? Would it be not? I mean, you know what I mean? Every falconer in the entire country, how many head they take a year? Like, why are we jumping through these hoops when this is going on? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make it's blasphemous, demonic. It makes me sick to my stomach. I hate feral cats with all my heart.
Well, me too.
I don't have a problem with cats. I don't have a problem with cats.
Right.
But feral cats that are just doing whatever, what they're created to do, like, they're just killing machines. I mean, they're awesome killing machines, but they shouldn't just be released into the ecosystem. Where are you going, Aaron?
I'm going to get a cat.
Please don't. Just leave that thing in its cage where it belongs. Jackie, what else do we need to cover with you before we wrap things up? Look at that disgusting thing.
Once we get on the subject, I always have to get a cat.
It doesn't look that bad. It looks kind of cute.
No, they're cute. Jackie, they're cute in the house. But if you put that thing outside, it's going to kill everything it sees. Look at the eyes.
They're evil.
This is Marge, all right? Marge has never stepped foot outside.
Aaron is showing us a picture of his very...
It's not a picture. She's here.
It's a very adorable looking, I'll admit. It's a very cute looking cat. It's very...
She's actually a British short hair. She's the movie Pet Sematary?
I do. Yeah. I know this.
She's the cat from Pet Sematary.
Like the one from the movie?
Yeah, the same color, the same breed.
You should put her on Craigslist for like 20,000 and say it's the same one that was in the movie.
Yeah.
Look at her dancing.
Damn.
Listen, I have no problem with cats. I'm not like a cat. But as soon as they step foot out of your door, like, they deserve to die. That's all. That's just my opinion, personally.
I don't know what I'm going to do with the ones at my house. I've got a lot of cameras around my property and I see them all the time. And I just don't know what I'm going to do with them once I trap them. Like, am I supposed to take them to Humane Society? Am I supposed to do something else? What can I do? I don't know.
Jackie, those are not the questions you ask on air. You just do what you know you need to do.
Okay. Just follow my gut instinct.
A garbage can. I'm just kidding. Courtney, edit that out. I'm dead serious, Courtney. Edit that out because I'm literally dead serious. You have to edit that out.
Courtney, don't edit that out.
No, you have to. I just talked to James last night. You have to edit that out. He says whatever you say.
He would know.
Yeah, James would know. Listen.
No, you can take you in all sincerity, if you trap a feral cat and you don't have the heart to do anything else, you can take it to the local animal shelter and they will at the very least spay and neuter it. That is better than it just being wild and unaltered at your house.
I agree with that, but it's like that. Like that's fine. Okay, fine. You can spay and neuter the cat, but I'm not filling out any more falconry paperwork ever again in my life because I'm catching 80 head a year, 100 head a year. Like, okay, thank you. How many wild birds that thing is killing every year? Like, why? Like, how is that even comparable? Why is this not an issue that's being brought up with other hunters? Why am I the only one that's talking about it, looking like a crazy person right
now? No, I would put, if I was president, I'd put a leash law on cats.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
I do that. I say, how you have this many months, and this is what you have to do. And just so you know, if they're out there, then it's fair game. It's just, we're going to have animal control come pick them up and whatever. And just eliminate the threat,
Yep.
you know?
Yep. Throw them in a wood chipper. Anyway, Aaron, what else do we need to cover? We covered a quite...
Throw them in a loving home. I'd mentioned that. All right. So a couple things since we're on the subject of non-falconry, non-red tails, I would be remiss if I didn't ask Jackie about these damn wolf dogs that she has. What the hell's up with that?
Right. I forgot about that.
What the hell is going on with that?
Yeah, well, that's a fair question. Okay. So I know it's not even, okay. So it's not even like a dog. Never mind it being a Decker Terrier or a Dachshund or a mini Dachshund or anything like that. It's just this weird thing that I grew up really liking. I said, I really like hawks. I really like wolves. I really like snakes. And when I grow up, I'm going to have all of it. So I did.
Good for you.
So you got all that. Tell us about those. I know absolutely nothing about it.
Well, I have one. He's a black phase mid-contents. He's about 65% tested. And then I have a female who's about to get spayed next week, which is a whole thing. They have to come down and like dart her like Jurassic Park style, and then bring her to the clinic. And the test stops at 95, so it just says 95 plus. So yeah, I mean, she's a wolf dog. She's been bred generationally away from like a wild wolf, but testing wise, I mean, yeah.
So when you say 95, is she 95% wolf?
She's 95 plus %, and that's where the test stops.
So she's mostly wolf then.
Well, yeah.
I mean, yeah, 95%. I mean, but is there really any difference between a wolf and her at that point?
Personality-wise, for sure, because wolves are neophobic. You know, they don't want to go near people. You see this game trail footage of like a guy will be walking down a trail, and you'll see like game trail footage of a wolf walking down the trail, sniff, 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 like sniffing the footprints, and that animal like literally turns tails, like nope, like goes the other way. Like they're so scared of people. They've been persecuted for generations. That's literally an adaptation. They've literally gone through an evolutionary period to be so scared of people. So with wolf dogs, it's like the exact opposite, where they're breeding for tameness and less neophobia or fearfulness. I mean, they very much still are. So you still have to work against that. But mine don't have an issue with that. They're just a little too enthusiastic about meeting people, like kind of knock you over when they meet you type shit. But
So
It's just something I was interested in. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, it's like people who keep venomous snakes. Like, why you got a rattlesnake, dude? I don't know. It's just like you like it.
how do you have to keep them? Do you have a huge outdoor enclosure for them?
Yeah, it's about a half acre. It's like 10-foot tall fencing with dig guards, and it's electrified. And yeah, it's a big deal.
Do they ever come in your house?
In Auburn, they did. Here, like, I live in like a farmhouse, and it's like cube. Like, I have a really big TV and like valuable stuff, and they would just destroy it. So no.
So Jackie, I saw, because we're falconers, so we like, obviously, pretty much most falconers like reptiles. We like wild animals. We like cool stuff like that. I saw a video of a woman, like, just going through her daily, changing out water, feeding her wolves. And then one of the wolves just like attacked her, and it was on a GoPro. And it was just, and she described it as something that it's just something that they do, like, to assert dominance.
Oh my God.
Well, that's what I'm like. And every time I see your videos of these wolves, like hanging out with you, I'm like, how are you managing this? Like, is there like a buddy system? Like what is? It's a valid question, right, Aaron? Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, my hawk would just like poke my eyes out.
Cattle prod or something.
Yeah.
No, I mean, no, they're
from Jurassic Park.
They're e-collar trained and stuff, so they can be off leash and like have nice leash manners and stuff. Like, I e-collar trained them for a long time. Okay. I just basically decided to treat them like dogs, and like worked out pretty well. But like, no, if one of them attacked me,
right,
I'd frankly probably beat the shit out of it, or I would just get rid of it, or both.
Okay.
Like, I don't expect that. And like, I have a lot of friends in this community, and that's like not a thing. Like, no one's like, oh, it's just part of having one. You just have to expect to get mauled once in a while.
Okay.
Like, no,
so that girl,
that's not the expectation.
So that girl was kind of full of it in that video.
I don't know who that was, but and I don't know what you saw, but like,
no, I heard it, and it was like chomping on her head, and like, and she was laying on the ground, and you could see its feet, and you could hear everything, and it was kind of like making her submit, basically.
I'm guessing a lot responsible wolf dog owners would euthanize a dog if it acted like that.
Yeah, or that'd be like a sanctuary animal, but the sanctuaries are full anyway. No, I would never keep an animal like that, and that's just not the norm, I guess, believe it or not. Even for an animal like the one that I have that's clearly more than mostly wolf, I would never. No, I mean, it's supposed to be fun. Falconry is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be fun. If it wasn't fun, then I wouldn't do it, honestly. Right. If it was more stressful than fun, I just wouldn't do it. I don't like a challenge, honestly.
Right.
Life is hard enough.
Hell yeah.
Life is hard, be harder.
Right.
So what? I'm sorry, Aaron, but do you take is there precautions when you go in the enclosure to clean it? Like, are you worried about that at all? Or you don't even?
No, I don't even think about it. I raised them from 4 weeks old, though, which is really young. Like right about, they get pulled from their mom's bottle fed about 10 days old, do all that puppy culture stuff, and then they come home with me way earlier than a normal dog. It'd be really considered unethical to take like one of your dogs, but earlier than 8 weeks or something.
Right. Yes, of course. But it's 8 to 12, whatever. But with the wolf dogs, you're taking them earlier to try to really solidify the human interaction, I guess, right?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So we have them at literally 4 weeks old. They're just like little potatoes. They're tiny. Yeah. Like, they're weaned barely. That's the age I get them at. Yeah. I wouldn't get a third. I love them, but I would never get another. 2 is perfect.
So when those pass away, are you going to get more, or is this it for you?
They're very long lived. And I had a student. Actually, she was a veterinarian. She was doing a study on wolves and wolf dogs and regular dogs, because they don't understand how wolves live so long in captivity compared to maybe, how long does a dachshund live?
19 years.
Okay, so that's a long time. How long does a Labrador Retriever live?
10 years. 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a wolf or wolf dog kept in captivity will live to be about 16, 17.
So it's
it's a long time for a big dog.
It's a very big dachshund, basically.
Crazy for for 100, 100-pound animal. That's really crazy. So No, I anticipate having them for a long time. And I don't really want to think about how old I'll be in those years coming forward. But yeah, I could imagine getting another one. They're like a pain in the ass, but I mean, you like what you like.
But talk us through you wake up in the morning, like what do? You go throw a deer in there or something, and they got to go. What do you have to do?
No, so first of all, they only get fed once a day, and I'll fast them once a week. They eat about 3 pounds. It's like 2.7. It's really sophisticated. It's like 2.7 pounds of chicken quarters and 0.3 pounds of like an organ mash. And then maybe I've started putting a little bit kibble in there, but they don't really tolerate it that well. And so I'll go in there, and then I've worked with like a wolf dog trainer so that they move backwards away from me. So I got to turn off the electric fence. We go in, I have like the food bowls, and they have these platforms, and they need to be like seated and laying down on the platforms before I give them both of their food bowls.
Okay.
If they're like, now, if they're like mid eating and I'm like, here, let me stick my hand in there, like what you could do with a normal dog or whatever, like they're going to growl at me. So like, that's just kind of a stupid thing I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
That's also that is kind of a normal comes with the territory thing where I wouldn't like. And if I've had like my wolf dogs in my house a lot when I was back in Auburn, if they grab something that was like really bad, like, no, you really can't have that, then I would trade them off like a bird.
Mm. Have you been in that situation before where you're kind of in like a semi emergency situation where you're trying to trade something off of something that it shouldn't have?
Not emergency, just more like a mess. So like they would pick up like a big thing of, I don't know, I think they grabbed like a bag of, I had gerbils for trapping, and they picked up like this big ass bag of gerbil food that was like 5 pounds and started ripping it up, and it went everywhere all over the house, and I was freaking out. And so I went up and approached and like held the bag, and then I had a piece of like, I think it was pizza, and I just like chucked it, and they just picked it up.
It was like,
so I traded just like trading off. Yeah.
It was like Jurassic Park when what'd she do? She like threw the spoon across the and
yes,
when they're in the kitchen and the raptors just run off after it.
Yes.
And she's like,
she's like, and she threw it, and they looked over there, and okay. I mean, it's so you don't view them as a regular dog, right? For sure.
No, they're like a dog on steroids. They're very intense. Yeah.
Have you dealt with a Belgian Malinois before?
That animal probably has more drive than a wolf dog.
Okay, I was going to say, because Aaron hates them with a passion.
That's a lot of animal. I mean, they're different because I think that dog's like really eager to please. Like wolf dogs are really not eager to please at all. And they're really hard to train. And it was just e-collar only for us. Like there's no food treats. Like no, like this was e-collar only for me with training them.
So just vibe.
And I feel like a lot of those dogs are just so eager to please, and they just want to make you so happy. It's a little different.
Okay. So it's not. So it's a violence response, basically, for what you're trying to get out of them.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, when they're doing something they're not supposed to do, they get shot, basically.
So really, that was just for leash training.
Okay.
And for off leash, so they could like explore and have freedom. But if they're doing something they're not supposed to do, like inside, and I just moved here kind of recently, but they used to be inside all the time, then we would just banish them. So they'd have to go back outside, and they'd be outside for 3 hours.
Okay.
And then they could either go into their crate and like boundary themselves, or they'd be going outside. And there was only 2 options there.
Okay.
And it wasn't like a 1 or 2 strike policy. It's like, no, you did something bad, so here's a slip lead. I'm putting it on you, and you're going outside right now. Goodbye.
Similar to a goshawk. To be honestly, Jackie, it sounds like a goshawk. Like when it's
what really?
Yeah, 100%. Right, Aaron, 100%. When it's he's had one imprint goshawk. I've had quite a few, and when they behave in a certain way, you just simply pick them up, you put them back in their box, you remove them from the situation, and then they get to stew on that for a period of time, and then you can take them back into the situation, and they can act different.
That's exactly what our trainer had them do. And it got to the point where, like, let's say one of these, they came in and they like grabbed my hawking boot or something. And I'd be like, go to your crate. You're not allowed to have
Right.
that. And sometimes they wouldn't. And then I'd go and I put the slip lead on them and I'd be like, wait for them to drop it. And they're going outside. And then it got to the point where they'd drop it and they'd go into their kennel with the door open. I wouldn't shut it. And they just like chill out in there. And I'd be like, okay, you can come back out. But you either need to boundary yourself or you're going to be forced to go away from us, which is really the cruelest thing for them. That's worse than kind of just being shocked for them, I guess.
Right. Aaron, do you have any questions? Because I have, like, I'm thinking back to, like, Jack, you would probably know better than me, but what, 11,000, 12,000 years ago?
That's, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, 12,000 years ago, roughly, like, that's where my mind goes. So, like, it's a stupid question, and it's kind of like it opens up a portal to, like, us to go down a rabbit hole, but are you experiencing something? Are you ever putting yourself in that situation where you're thinking in your head, it's 12,000 years ago, we're trying to domesticate this animal, and you're kind of dealing with that beginning stages of that domestication? Are you dealing with that? Like, are you experiencing that? Are you thinking of that in those training moments?
Not really. It's more just like taming any other wild animal you could get.
Okay. So it's completely different.
Yeah, it's just and it's better than, say, a bobcat or some.
Yeah, they're not even human, but
he wanted a bobcat, and like these animals come from generations since like the 70s of being bred for either ambassador work at like educational centers or a lot of film and movie work. Like all these movies and TV shows that have wolves or werewolves, they're always animal actors, and that's what they are.
Okay.
So they're just bred from that on and on. So it's a completely different animal still.
Okay. All right.
So this is not, I don't know if I could have an animal that was just like a pure wolf that I even raised and then expect it to behave the same way that mine do, because they're just different.
It's just, because I've been pondering lately. And when I say pondering, I'm not, I'm a plumber. I put pipe in the wall every day and I just work. So when I'm saying I ponder some of this stuff, like, because I don't have to, at this point in my career, I don't really have to think. I just kind of put the stuff where it goes. So I just get to think and just listen to podcasts and work.
Yeah.
So I kind of I have this opportunity to fantasize about these opportunities, like to what it was like for the first falconer to put his theory. Because at one point or another, a falconer put his theory to the test, to train a bird, to get it to hunt for him, to catch game with it, and to utilize it for sustenance at some point. So, but that happened roughly 4,000 to 5,000 years by our estimation. So, but wolves, that was 12. That was 7,000 years before that, roughly.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by the thought process behind like how did that first interaction go? Was it just a camp moving from one hunting camp to another hunting camp? And how did you domesticate these particular wolves that would be more agreeable to humans? It's fascinating to me. Like, and you're like, you're just like literally dealing with it like in your house, essentially.
Oh, I mean, it's a little bit different. With taming and domestication are obviously very different. Just like you said, domestication happens over generations, and then taming is over the lifespan of the animal.
Right. Yes.
And so with these animals, it's both. There's not only a history of domestication, because they've been bred for that, but they've also been tamed since they were pulled from their mothers at 10 days old and bottle fed and all that, and had people come over and all that shit. So it's a little bit different there. But I see people talking about the same shit, like, oh, well, if people have been breeding Harris hawks for this many years, are they considered domesticated? I was like, I don't know. Are they? I mean, how many generations did it take to breed domesticated foxes? Not very many.
Like 20, right? 30?
Maybe less.
Well, I was saying years. I'm sorry. like years.
Yeah, exactly. It was like very, very fast, and you're breeding strictly for boldness and tameness, lack of fear. So lack of neophobia. And then you start getting phenotypic traits that are associated with that, which is really cool. But it can happen very quickly if you're strictly breeding for that. But I don't know if anybody is.
Right. It's, I mean, listen, I don't like, I have little kids and stuff and like a toddler. So like, I wouldn't be able to like play that scenario out in my mind, but it's just fascinating to me that you're ballsy enough to deal with that, but you have it sounds like you have tremendous trust in the animals that you have.
Oh, totally. I mean, if I didn't, then like I wouldn't have them, but I've been involved in this community and like for a very, very long time. And I know it sounds really wild, but would sound just as wild for the wolf dog people to know that, we do falconry. It would sound that bizarre.
So Aaron, I know we're going on and on here, but so what got you into that? Like what like where'd that come from? Do you think there should be an apprenticeship program for that, even though that you can legally just apply for a permit to probably get one? Do you think there should be an apprenticeship program?
Yeah, I wish it was legal in every single state, in every county, in every city, and I wish that there was an apprenticeship program. I think it would help immensely. I mean, there were so many times I was looking for a mentor and that didn't exist.
Right.
That should probably happen for a lot of people. Like people who want like lions and shit or a bear, like go ahead, man. Have a lion. Go through these, whatever. I mean, obviously there's a lot to talk shit about with regard to like our apprentice program and like compared to other countries, and maybe it's too much and maybe it's really stupid. But I think we could probably do away with bans, right?
Yeah.
For all kinds of animals, and you can have whatever you want. I think you should be able to have whatever you want if you're able to get help from experts who teach you to do it. Like in Florida, you can't just buy whatever you want. Venomous wise, in Florida, you need to have so many hours with like a venomous mentor or whatever.
Right. You think that shouldn't be the case, or no?
I don't think we should be seeing bans at all.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think there should be bans. I think there should be some sort of I hate even mentioning or uttering the fact that the government should be involved, but there should be some sort of right. Aaron has like a rattlesnake next to his head right now, basically. Right. He's had all kinds of crazy stuff, way more cool reptiles than I have that could easily kill him.
Okay, so actual deadly shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had cobras, gaboon vipers, puff adders, rattlesnakes, all that stuff.
And every falconer, I swear to God.
Right?
They've had a cobra. If they haven't had a cobra yet, they will. Yeah.
Oh, right. If I could have a cobra where I live, I would probably have one. It's like a prerequisite. Like falconers are interested in reptiles. We're interested in birds. We're interested in wolves. Like we think all that stuff is interesting to us.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but like, it's like we have to jump through hoops to get a hawk that can't like eat us ass first, like in our enclosure. But like somebody in PA or like Ohio, obviously, for example, like they at one point or another they could get whatever they wanted, and it could become like a literal like health risk to the human that is owning them.
Yeah, not to mention even the community. If they had really like shit standards and the animal got out, then it's a risk to the community.
Like every single animal in their entire enclosure got out at one point in time.
So could a Belgian Malinois.
Dude, that's a good point, man. Those things just want to bite everything. But
I mean, it gets out of your house one day and there's a little kid playing in the yard across the street, could kill it.
Yeah, easily.
I mean, your cobra is less likely to do that.
Wait, are we talking about pit bulls or Malinois? I'm confused.
Well, either one can maul a child.
They're basically the same thing at this point. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
okay. No.
Speaking of wolves and pit bulls, one time I went to buy a aquarium from a dude, and he had a weird looking dog chained up to a tree, and he said it was pit bull timber wolf hybrid.
This is like about the worst thing possible, but I'm gonna tell you right now, like 90% of people say, my uncle had a timber wolf, whatever, red wolf, Yukon, black, or Arctic tundra subspecies, British Columbian, like they didn't know.
Yeah.
No, it was a husky. Like that did not happen.
I'm literally dying of laughter because if anybody has been to like an exotic pet store like back in like 2008 or it's all the same stuff. Like I got a Timberwolf Pitbull hybrid. Like give me $500 and it's yours. It's like,
Wow.
It was the ugliest piece of shit I've ever seen in my
Oh
life.
God, no! There are pictures online. There are some in a sanctuary that are true pit wolf mixes, and they're hideous.
but hideous and like so like in the movie. Okay, so in the movie White Fang, right? Like, do you think the pit bull would win in that altercation in that movie? I'm sure you've watched that movie. I'm sure you have.
I mean, probably when I was a child.
Okay, so there's okay in White Fang.
I've read the book. It's Jack London,
right? Jack London and the wolf. It's put into this fight ring with a pit bull, and the wolf obviously, it's a fight to the death with the pit bull. And the wolf wins. Like, do you think that a pit
wolf
bull
might win?
You think the wolf would win, Aaron? What do you think? Jackie better.
I think Jackie would be a better judge of that one.
I think the pit's been bred for aggression. I really think the pit would win. They just kind of hold on. I really think the pit would win. I mean, a wolf has a stronger jaw strength. They have longer canines. Right. They would be larger. But I actually think the pit would probably win.
Yeah, that's what kind of happened in the movie. But the wolf ended up winning. But it was a close fight. So
we should ask Sean about that.
Well, Sean,
it was a close call.
Well, actually, I'm not going to say that on air. Never mind. I'll just bite my tongue on that one. But yeah, Sean, shout out Sean O'Neill.
Clover Creek
Canines for your dog needs, killing things in the field.
If you want a dog that can kill a timber wolf, hit up Sean O'Neill.
Okay, so now Jackie, I have to ask because this is a show that's all about taking wild game from various means. Would you ever, like if I said, hey, I want to bolt rabbits from a hole with my dachshund and I want your wolf dog hybrid, 95%, whatever, to catch the rabbits, it'd be fun. Would you would you think that would be a feasible thing as my dachshund is in the room screaming its head off because it's kenneled up?
Yeah, no, that would definitely happen, especially if it was e-collar trained for recall, but I'm not sure I'd be able to trade it off.
Okay, so if it grabbed the rabbit as it bolts, it would be a little bit of an ordeal to try to...
It would either eat it or it would just hold it and it'd be an hour-long thing and it would just be awful. Like, it would just be wanting to do that for itself, like its own self-pleasure, and I wouldn't be able to get that rabbit away from it. It would just probably eat it, yeah. So I don't see how it'd be beneficial from like a hunting aspect. I mean, it could be fun as like a fun activity, but I mean, as like a hunting thing, not really.
I mean, Aaron, I can't think of a cooler YouTube video than bolting rabbits or a fox from a hole and a wolf hybrid killing it.
That would be brutal. You want to talk about demonetization? There you go. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
You might be able to call it into its crate or something with the rabbit and just let it have the rabbit.
Exactly.
You'd have to do, Jackie, I think you'd have to do like a mink man technique where it has a safe place where it can go to, like a crate. It goes in there and then it can get its reward and it can have its personal satisfaction from the situation, and then it gets a reward and then you can trade it off and it can go back out and either kill another one or get its daily ration of food.
I think you're totally right. I think that could absolutely be done, and I have zero motivation to do that for any amount of money. But yeah, I think it could absolutely be done.
Yeah. Okay. That's super. So it's just, I mean, listen, it's just, I could go on all day. I want to know, I personally want to know the details. Like when you say an hour-long ordeal, like what does that look like? Like, you're kind of like chasing the thing around, kind of putting your hand on its collar, placing something on the side, trying to stimulate it to let go?
Oh, I wouldn't even do that. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable if, like, my wolf dog got a really so they eat, like, literally just raw meat. It's a lot of money. So if I'm throwing chicken quarters, which is part of that 2.7 pounds of the 3 pounds, big ass pieces of chicken, and I'm throwing that, and I was to just, well, the puppy, the high content, I can pet her and stuff. But if I go near my mid content, who's actually almost half dog, he is like snarling, like spit is coming out of his mouth. I'm like, okay, buddy, I don't really give a fuck. I ain't gonna fuck with you.
Right.
Because like we have a relationship that it's like fine and like I enjoy him, and it's like, what do you really want from an animal? Like, would it make me the happiest person in the world where it's like, oh my God, there's no resource guarding. This is like the best day of my life. This is exactly what I want. Like, it's not that important to me. Like, they're kind of going to do that. And if I cared that much, then I would probably try to do something about it. But I don't care that much. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because in the situation that they're housed in and stuff like that, you don't have to, it's not like a priority.
No, it's not important to me at all. And if they get into something, which there's nothing they can get into in the house, that'd be like, I don't know. I would never try to just like eat dinner in front of them. That's just stupid.
Right.
I could with a normal dog. I could with all my other dogs. And I just know that's just stupid. And it's going to be really hard to trade them off of that.
Right.
So that's just not important to me. Like what's important to me is like being able to hang out with them and like have them off leash and have a good time and run around in the spring and summer and have them jump into a pool, go swimming. Like that's really fun to me. And like I said, I've always wanted these animals for like really weird, inexplicable reasons since I was like 12. And then I became an adult and I said, fuck it, I'm going to get what I want. And I did.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
There was something I mentioned earlier that was, well, I'm going to change subjects here. Casey, is there anything else you want to know about these wolf dogs? Because I think you satisfied my curiosity.
There is, but I'm not going to, it's just a rabbit hole of just technical, stupid questions that could go nowhere or could go somewhere. So I'm going to drop it there. I think we covered a lot.
So because I asked earlier, or because I started to ask earlier, squirrel chaps, what do you think?
I knew we were going to come back to this. I had a feeling we were going to circle back. So I've flown like with and without chaps. I've flown with or without Josses, whatever, different types, whatever. I'm not convinced that they're really that helpful, although I have seen a lot of bites on the middle of the foot that chaps probably would have resolved. And yeah, I have a picture of a squirrel biting a chap. Like, I don't know. I don't think they hurt the bird that much. I don't think they help the bird that much. So I think they're pretty damn neutral. And I mean, you look at people like Fincher. I think he took like 123 squirrels with like his bird last season. When was the last time you saw him use chaps? He's doing anklets.
I heard it was 200.
Oh, well, I was talking about with one bird.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
I was talking about with one bird.
Okay.
I don't get on Instagram much, but I happened to get on it like a couple weeks ago, and then I was like, oh, well, I know whose page I'm going to go to.
Yeah.
I was watching all his videos and shit, but yeah, I could be wrong. But yeah, no, he's got aquarium tubing for the bell and the whatever, and regular anklets, no jesses, which is an important point he makes. But I don't think I've ever seen, at least since like 2013 or something like that, like I've never seen him use chaps. And his birds get bit up, but he normally doesn't keep them that long. This bird, I think he actually has kept a long time. I wanted to ask him about that. But normally he's kind of has like a juvie going, and then he's got an intermewed bird in the chamber ready to go.
Yeah, so this past year I flew with chaps for the first time ever, and at least on a red tail, I don't think they're a hindrance, and I think they do help. Like you said, there were a few bites that I think would have landed on a toe had I not had the chaps on.
Yeah.
But I think there's some species of birds that the less you have on the feet, the better. Like goshawks,
yeah, like a goss maybe.
Yeah, even I don't know about Harris hawks. I feel like I'm at a point now with Harris hawks where I just don't think you should hawk squirrels with them.
Well, I just don't like them in general, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, no. We're notorious for clowning on Harris Hawks on here, but they're
okay, guys.
Useless.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Unless you're trying to catch them like 300 head a year, then they're good.
They're just like the little butterflies. They're wolves of the sky. I was like, no, they're butterflies of the sky.
They're the predatory version of a crow, basically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
They fly the same.
They don't fly very hard. I made the observation that Harris Hawks, and I'm sure there's people out there who will say, actually,
I know we're waiting for all the actually.
Yeah.
Harris Hawks, they don't fly hard enough to like have collisions and die. Like if they die, it's going to be because they hit a power line or they hit a car hit them while they're flying over a road or something.
Well, they're very floaty, and goshawks can be floaty, but I mean, they're not very crashy. It's not like a meteor after a squirrel.
Correct.
So, and that's the cool thing about goshawks is just like how dang flashy. Like, oh my God, it's like gone vertical up like 25-foot a tree and like back on it. Whereas that red tail's gonna have to get up and oh my God, it could take 10 minutes to get back up there, So there's like pros and cons as far as like the excitement of the flight in general. Cause I think head count is probably actually fairly equal or very close to equal with both done right. Even though the red tail is easier. So you have that pro.
Right, yeah.
But like with Harris Hawks, it's just like, even the videos you watch these days, like these guys are not into it, man. Like they're just, the excitement is not there. They're just like, oh, let me go walk up here. I think it might have got something. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not watching it. Like, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can't. I mean, I feel like I need to be like charging people money if I were to like go out to like actually watch a Harris Hawk fly. So God forbid, if it was watching a Harris Hawk catch rabbits, I would probably charge $20.
Just $20?
Well, I'm trying to be nice. I could at least, get like, I don't know, something.
Jackie, do you think that we should be able to charge to take people on hunts the way other hunting endeavors charge to take people on hunts?
It's so funny you say that. I was reading this website like 6 months ago, and we've always heard you can't profit off native wildlife. You can't take people out on a hunt with your red tail and charge money for it. I went to this site. It's a place that does exactly that. And they went through all the rules and all the regulations, and they do treat it just like a guided outfitter type thing with a red tail, and it's totally legal. And they explained it very completely and thoroughly. And now I don't have the link and I can't remember. And I'm not trusting it. I'm not saying I would do it, but they made it seem like there was a loophole where it was completely fine under the right circumstances, like only hunting, which your falconry permit provides.
I think from what I was told, legally you can be reimbursed for your time to train the for that specific situation.
If it's captive born. So if it was
if it's a captive red tail or like a Harris Hawk or goshawk, theoretically you can be reimbursed for your time it took invested in getting that bird prepared to go on that kind of a hunt, the food that you have to feed it, your bill for the quail, etc. I don't think that we should. I don't think that I personally would want to open up that can of worms if I were like to say, hey, listen, anybody wants to come on a hunt with me, it's this much money. Like it would be sketchy.
Yeah,
but
sketchy.
Why can somebody who kills, big giant whitetails say, hey, I'll take you on a hunt. It's, $50,000. I'll take you on a hunt anytime you want. And they can go. Like they're theoretically profiting off of native wildlife as well. So I don't understand why it's a separate thing.
Well, we don't actually have, this is just what's been told to you by someone else who said this, who interpreted the law this way. And I looked really deeply into this because it was in this rabbit hole. I was like, there's no way. And I looked at it and they made it seem like it was perfectly, totally fine for that exact same reason. And again, it didn't make much sense to me. I'm not doing it. I probably wouldn't do it, but I think it should be totally legal if it's not already, which they made it seem like it was legal. Yeah,
People
you should
get
be able
emotional about birds of prey.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know my personal self, and pretty much, Aaron, Jackie. If they opened it up tomorrow and said you could charge people to take them on hunts, like, it would be a very well done thing. It'd be for professional. It would be the way it should be. I think that these government agencies are factoring in for like the lowest common denominator. And I'm not trying to be rude, but like,
what?
I'm just talking shitty setup, garbage falconers, just a really bad situation, and it would just be 100% profiting off of like, an animal. Like, it would just be garbage. So they have to factor that into their rules. But I think if I was going to take my bird to like a presentation or something like that, I could theoretically request that I be reimbursed for my time to be there and the time it took me to get my bird prepared for that situation. I think that that's legal. That's legal, yeah. But it becomes a gray area because how much is your time worth? I just had a consultation with a business manager to look over my numbers, and so I'm a $450 an hour now. So it just becomes very weird and it could become very convoluted. So it just opens up too many doors, and I'm almost okay with it, right, Aaron? Like, I don't know about you, but I'm okay with like taking the hit for not being able to take people on hunts. If like this guy down the road who's like a piece of garbage, no offense to anyone, I'm not speaking of anyone.
No offense to the pieces of garbage down the road.
Offense to them, but I'm not referring to anybody specifically. But there are specific licenses you can get, like falconry school licenses. Our friend of the show, Tom Cullen, he has a license where he can take people on hawk walks where they can handle the birds and fly them. And it's all legal based off of the license that he has. He can use the birds that are specifically in that license that he has, and he can represent falconry in a certain way, but it takes a lot of hoops to get that particular license. But I think if you just opened it up where it was just like, freewheeling, you could go, I don't think people would.
That's what they have in England now.
But I don't know how it works in England. Like, I've seen some very, very bad depictions of England, and I've seen growing up as a kid. I watched all the Nick Fox, Bird of Prey management series, all in Jackie, you too, I'm sure. All those videos, like, they really kind of set the tone for like what's expected of you as a falconer. But I'm sure there's other kind of nonsense that goes on in Europe there in Britain, but I just feel like it opens up a can of worms for animals to be exploited for just like profit. So I don't know. I really don't know how I feel, to be honest.
Well, that is what kind of the UK is probably, let's not say 90, but a very high percentage. Like, they're being used for exploited for profit. They just sit there a lot of time. And then if they're lucky, they go perch to perch or perch to glove and then back, like, I don't know. Did they care?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they're just like fine with doing that. And then like literally once in a blue moon, maybe once a week, we'd take out 2 Harris hawks and maybe catch a rabbit in the 1 or 2 hours we went out with these people after having sandwiches and tea.
Correct. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a very tough, it's a tough decision. And I don't know if we're biased because of our love for the animals and the birds that we fly. And I don't know what the right decision is, but like I said earlier, we definitely have to legislate based off of the lowest common denominator.
I don't have a problem with qualified people doing it, but for what it's worth, I personally have zero interest in it doing it myself.
I get it, but like to take a couple of people on a hawk walk 3-4 times a day and make $1,200.
No, it'd be lucrative. We can't pretend it wouldn't be. It would be lucrative.
I'm just back to the thing we talked about earlier, like just seeing auger buzzard in like freaking Ford and Chevy commercials, like it just drives me nuts. Like, can we have a red tail, please? Like, why are we having auger buzzards in our commercials? Like, you're driving through the Mojave Desert. Like, why? Like, you're driving through like freaking, like these areas that are in the United States that everybody knows in the United States. Like, why are you having auger buzzards flying through the shot? Like, it's just so irritating.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe that's a licensing thing. Like, I don't know.
Another thing that's that irritates me is the show Yellowstone, the virally famous show Yellowstone.
Yeah, I've seen some of it.
So there's a couple of things there. So one of the cowboys in the show, the guy who plays the guitar, I forgot the character's name, but he has a goshawk, a female North American goshawk feather in his hat the entire show. So that's illegal, number one. And then number two, the final season of the show, at the end when they're burying, John Dutton, a bird lands in the tree, and it's like 100% CGI, and it's like an auger buzzard, common buzzard, like this mutation landing in
John Dutton dies?
Oh, I'm sorry. Spoiler alert.
Jesus.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, I guess I knew he didn't want to do the show anymore, but good God.
Okay, spoiler alert. I'm sorry, everybody. But they have like an auger buzzard, like weird looking, like it's computer animated, land in a tree over like where the gravesite is. And like obviously they're in Montana, they're in the mountains. Like it should be a goshawk. Like there should be a goshawk landing in the tree. They should get the shot and then it should fly away. Like why are we using an auger buzzard for that scene? Like why are we using like it just drives me nuts. Like why can't
or like the Eurasian eagle owls instead of like horned owls?
Like why? It's just like these are our native wildlife. Why can't we use them for these kind of things? Like to get people to understand these animals, to respect them.
Yeah. Great question for James Maynard.
And he's coming on the show. I'm working on him. I had a hour and 25-minute conversation with him last night. And he did call me back and we did have a discussion about it. So shout out James Maynard. Me and Aaron have to have a preliminary conversation about what is going to be discussed and who is going to be discussed so that everything can be documented.
That's a good plan.
Listen, James is a lawyer and we're just normal people. So James knows like worst case scenario. So we're just going to do what James asks and we're going to get him on the show and we're going to curtail it to what James wants so that we can get all these questions answered. Suing the federal government for federal cats, suing the federal government for to release all these ridiculous regulations we have on falconry, changing up. There's a whole list. It just keeps going, and Sporting Chance is leading the way on all of this stuff.
What about car hawking?
Car hawking, Jackie. I can't release too much based off our. We're going to request many different changes to the regulations, many different changes that are going to open up quite a bit for us falconers. So
well, that's really exciting.
Join NAFA.
Yeah. Join NAFA, people.
Because they're paying for it.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay.
All right.
That's good.
So, Jackie, the season is winding down here. What are your plans going forward? What do you see yourself doing in the near future?
I hate that you say the season's winding down because I have a bird that I trapped right before December and it's just getting going. So
you got a month and a half.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Yeah, so I plan to just keep squirrel hawking that thing and see what happens. And if she's still annoying, then I'll just release her. I like releasing birds anyway. And Michael and I will probably trap new birds here. And I mean, season opens late here in North Carolina. It's like October.
That's ridiculous. That's insane.
And it ends in February.
Insane.
And fox squirrel season ends in like January something. They have a separate, okay, whatever. It's bizarre. Anyway, the point is I've decided we're going to trap early and we're just going to have birds ready to go in the heat of it and the thick of it and the awfulness of it come opening day. Because we moved here and we didn't even get our mews inspected until Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It was like awful. So it's kind of been a wash. Mid-October
is when the season opens here and it is miserable.
Oh, you can't even. Oh, yeah. It's not even October 1. That's awful.
You could some people go to South Carolina to get started early, but
Oh yeah, they're October.
I'm never excited about starting in October. It's hot. There's ticks. There's snakes. There's mosquitoes. Doesn't that sound like fun, Casey?
Aaron needs a shot of test in his glutes.
I mean, it's like it's not as comfy. I get that, but like it doesn't matter what year. Like I'm in yoga pants. I'm wearing a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, and I wear yoga pants every day I go out. I'm not rabbit hogging. Maybe I got a little prickers in me or whatever, but you know, just for the occasion.
I don't know if I mentioned that, but I guess, like we didn't say explicitly, you're in North Carolina now.
Yeah, we just moved here this past summer. Yeah.
Well, welcome back home.
Yeah, thank you.
You should have came to the meet. You could have saw Casey. You could have met Bear Newcomb.
From me,
yeah, that would be nice. We really wanted to go to that. We wanted to go to South Carolina too. So this was just kind of a bummer of a year, honestly.
I'm going to North Carolina every year now. It was so fun.
Really?
It was so fun. Everybody was so nice. It was game. I mean, Aaron on the show has been just completely blasting out. There's no rabbits in North Carolina. No
That's not true. That's not true.
Jackie, there was so many rabbits that my North American killing machine shut down and just watched the rabbits run underneath her because she was so overwhelmed. There was so many rabbits that she just stopped chasing and just sat there and watched. And then
she just got dazzled, like holy shit.
She's like, I can't. She chased every single one she saw for the first an hour.
This spot was owned by a game warden, Jackie.
Yeah,
wow.
and his dad goes out there and brush hogs for fun.
Yeah,
I've never seen as many rabbits in North Carolina as I've seen there.
Aaron, how many, based off of that experience, how many slips per hour do you think we got in that spot?
20, probably.
At least
20. That's incredible.
At least, and rabbits, Jackie, not squirrels. Rabbits.
That's incredible. That would be great for squirrels too.
Just crawling everywhere.
It was tough.
It was so tough because there was so many rabbits.
Yeah, there's a reason they're all there because it was super tough.
Looking back on
the cover and all that,
it was just
cover lack of perching. It was a tough spot. It was awesome.
It was a tough spot, and then there was little roads, so the rabbits would cross the road, the bird would chase, and then like go up and hover, and then they'd be in the thick stuff, and they couldn't get through it, and they would wait. And I think that if me and Aaron went in there with my bird, then Aaron's bird, I think we would have caught a limit 6 rabbits each.
Yeah,
I should have flown there that day.
I think the fact that we had Aaron stop. I think the fact that we had like 30 people in the field with us, it was just a detriment because somebody would take a step 50 yards that way and a rabbit would run that way, and then I would step and then a rabbit would run that way, and the bird
God, the chaos.
It was just too much. It was just too much. If we just had 2 people, 3 people in the field and we were all together, I think we would have caught a crap ton of rabbits. It was in
Aaron, it was in Denton, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is 15 minutes from my house. Do you know how much that hurt me?
You should have went. It was fun. Yeah,
it literally hurt me inside.
Next year,
people could have stayed at my house. I mean, I didn't realize I was that close to Denton, a town I'd never heard of.
No, that spot was great. And then even going to meet up in the morning to talk about stuff, there's like squirrels running around the meet location. It was like a camp, right, Aaron? What was it?
Yeah,
there's
a camp.
It's not Walter Johnson, was it?
Yeah,
squirrels running everywhere. It was great. We could have just stayed at the meet location and caught squirrels.
Yeah, people did all day.
Yeah, it was.
Well, that's great. That's great. I mean, I'm glad there was a lot of game and stuff.
Yeah. So next year you'll be there, and your partner Mike is his name.
Michael Moore from Alabama. Yeah, he'll be there.
I think I follow him. What's his social media? What's his Instagram?
I think it's the Squirrel Hawker.
Squirrel Hawker. Yeah, I follow him. He's the man. Yeah, we have a good. Yeah.
He's gonna be coming on the show.
Yeah.
He films everything, but we hadn't even released a video on YouTube from last year. We'd like to do a highlights, and we didn't even do highlights last year.
Do it.
But I had that stupid coin flip bird. Is it going to catch or hold on? Let's flip a coin. Is it going to let go or catch? Anyway, that bird was annoying, but
Jackie, I think you dropped the ball because I think that bird was smarter than every other red tail you've flown.
You know what? Maybe it was just too smart. It was too smart for me, so I didn't like it.
It just didn't want to get bit.
Dumb and hold on.
To just be dumb like a pit bull. and just latch on and don't let go.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, goshawkers, we deal with that all the time because the bird's grabbing, let go, and they'll lose some. But I'd rather them lose some than get bit. So it's like.
But they can also recatch, so it's not as frustrating when they let go because it's normal.
They still lose them though, so it's annoying. It's definitely annoying.
Yeah.
Jackie, is there anything else that we need to cover that we did not cover? Because I feel like we covered a lot, but this was an excellent episode. But
we definitely covered a lot.
Yeah.
No, I think that's pretty much it there, guys.
All right,
Jackie. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.